This is the Big O Show. 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 This.
So here we are. I wanted to show you the backyard again because we had some trouble last time, but you know, CuttersEdgePro.com does some amazing stuff, and there are the boys and the girl. They're having fun. There we go. Right, Maiden? Right, Bono? There we go. They're having fun. I'm having fun. Look at our Sylvester palm. It is beautiful. We got another one in the front yard like that. You can take your home and landscaping to the next level. And the artificial turf, look at that. Look at that, the two dinosaurs going at it, huh? Look at that, I gotta love the dinosaurs. Look at them, they like to bite each other's legs. That's what they do, they play with each other and then they bite each other and they piss each other off. It's fun. One is Bono, which is the one farther away from you, and Maiden, she's the girl right here. She's a badass, that's for sure. So anyway, see the flowers are coming out. Very nice. CuttersEdgePro.com, folks. This big tree there will start budding that I'm showing you there soon. It'll have all kinds of flowers. I'll post another video and I'll show it to you. This is a backyard where everybody gets to hang out. Over there in the corner there, I put the barbecue and cook. So that way it's the farthest away from the house, you know. If I light myself on fire or somebody else, we're out in the corner away from everybody. There you go, so you can get some flowers coming out, which is a beautiful thing. And I swear by this artificial turf, it always looks phenomenal. I don't have to cut it. I don't have to water it. And so I'm saving a lot of money, hundreds and thousands in the long run, because I'm not watering or, of course, cutting the grass. And you know, here in South Florida, we cut the grass like every 10 to 14 days.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full-service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com. With more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes, Welton Rayom is committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. They handle complex personal injury claims caused by the fault of another in both state and federal courts. They handle auto, trucking, motorcycle, slip and fall, and bicycle accidents. Call 954-966-4646. That's 954-966-4646. Welton Rayom can help.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
The viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
Good morning, boys and girls. Ready to rock and roll on the show. Audio good? Make sure audio is good. Please tell me the audio is all good and kosher and ready to go. Just want to make sure that, because, you know, you start getting ranting and raving and then no audio, can't hear you. You know, that kind of stuff. So want to make sure audio is fine. Okay, good. All right. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today on the show. We got Dolphins talk. We got Heat talk. We got sports in general, life. Inter Miami last night. Saw Buck Cherry over the weekend. Met some of you out there. Some of you cool listeners. And another listener that's a little questionable. I almost kicked the listener's ass over the weekend. So I'm at the Buck Cherry concert with the wife. You ever go to a concert, right? And you're standing there, you know, we're pretty close to the stage. We're about, you know, maybe, 7 feet from the stage, something like that. So we're standing there. You ever go to a show and then there's that rude dude, and again, with a girl, I think actually it was with two girls, and they're kind of like, they get into they act like they're so much into the music, and then they're bumping through people and trying to get closer after the show's already started, after everybody had their position. You ever done that before, right? You ever seen that rude person? So we had a guy and these two girls, and they like just completely railroaded us and got in front of us, right? My wife's the kind of woman, she's Cuban. She doesn't take a lot of shit. I'm definitely a person that doesn't take any shit whatsoever. So, like, we stand there and we thought they were going to continue to the front or go somewhere else. And then we gave them a couple seconds. And then my wife starts like, hey, you guys got to start moving. And then then the guy's like, pushing into us, right? So I grab my arm and I start pushing him away. And when he turns around, he goes, oh, hey, Big O. And I'm like, yeah, hey, that's nice, but don't run me over, bro. So just so you'll know, dude, I was this close to kicking your fucking ass. Okay? This close. I think you could tell in my face I was pissed off. I was like, yeah, hey, nice, hi, but, quit being an asshole. That kind of stuff. So, listen, I'd love to run into you in places, but I don't want to physically run into you. Just want you to know that. Okay? I don't want to physically run into you. That's not I go out to have fun. I don't go out to, get into any trouble or anything like that. So that was my experience. But I did meet several of you at the Culture Room where they actually, where their AC works, unlike, let's say, the Revolution Live, where those bum asses, don't have the AC working and they make you sweat your ass off. But the Culture Room had it going on. And Buck Cherry, by the way, put on a terrific show. They always put on a great show. Always, dude. They always put on a great show. Always. But some of you out there, be cordial, bro. Be a decent human being. I love that person. Hey, and they're like blasting through people. And they're acting like, oh, I'm such a fan. I need to get close. Hey, asshole, you didn't come earlier to get a position. Get your ass back where you were. So whoever you are out there, I don't know your name. I didn't hear your name, whatever it is. Yeah, you pissed me off. Now, the rest of you that I met over at the Culture Room, awesome. A couple people walked up, said hi, this, that. Hey, what's up, oh, this, that. Had a couple words, saw a couple friends of mine also that I hadn't seen in a while. So it was cool. We had a good night, except for the one asshole. Okay. He did kind of apologize, but it was kind of late. He kind of apologized after he realized who he ran into. Then he go, oh shit, I watch his show all the time, that kind of stuff. So, because the girls were like, who is he? I could tell that they were like in the middle of this whole thing. Like, they had been rude and then then he's trying to be nice. And then I'm being a dick because, you're being a jerk, that kind of stuff. Oh, Jesus. Anyway, just be nice, folks. Don't be rude in this world, man. Jesus Christ. Yes, horrible concert etiquette. Yes. They have no their edict is crap. Anyway, so Weapon X United. Thank you for the love early on here in the morning with the super chat. Good morning, Big O. This is the final month without football. No, we have football. In it until March next year. Are you ready for some football? Let's go Dolphins. I am ready, baby. I'm so ready. I mean, Sean and I are going to be going to Canton to see Zach get inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's good. It was good. The Messi presentation. Oh, man, do I have a lot of shit to say there. And, Sean, be honest. When you watched it last night, you basically said to yourself, nothing's changed since we were there.
I did not watch a bit of it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I don't want to put Sean in any of this.
I watched the highlights and I saw something that happened, like some people leaving posts and people getting in. It hasn't changed much at all other than there, but yeah, I did not watch any of the presentation.
Hasn't changed. And let me say something that nobody on QAM is going to say. Nobody's going to be able to write about it in the Herald, the Palm Beach Post, the Sun Sentinel. Nobody in town will have the balls to say it. I'll say it because I'm the only one in town that ever has the balls to say certain things.
Okay? Those are the facts, and that's just kind of what I've been stuck in for 30 years. It's not popular, folks. What I do is not popular. Okay? It's not. It's just not. But I don't care. I'm my own man. I live my own life. I don't worry about it. I don't hang on to corporations. When I worked with corporations, I didn't play that game. You know what I mean? That's not what, media is not supposed to be that way. You're supposed to be objective and away from everything. I don't need to play the politics of your corporation or your team or a player or this or that just because you have a relationship. No, I'm going to call it like I see it. Just like the Wade thing or anything with Riley. As much as I love Riley, and I would never tell you to change Riley, I'll tell you when he screws up. I have no problem with that. Okay? Just like I'll tell you the Wade thing with Iverson, that shit was phony as hell, and I broke it all down, and the proof is there. That's all. There's nothing more. I want the Moss brothers to succeed more than anyone in this town outside of his direct family. Okay? Outside of the direct Moss family, which, of course, that's blood. Nothing's thicker than blood. But outside of them, I want them to succeed. The same way I wanted the Miami FC and the Fusion and all the other teams that have been here to succeed, okay? I am a huge local soccer fan, always have been a supporter, okay? The Moss brothers are going to do their best if they own the baseball team or if they own the soccer team to get the best players. They are not going to be cheap on that at all. At all. But here's where I experienced it when I went in to try to build Onside there. They don't get the business side. They go cheap on the business side. They will never go cheap on players. They won't go cheap on coaches. They won't go cheap on facilities. They won't go cheap on the game itself. But when it comes to production, they are absolutely clueless. That yesterday was fucking amateur hour. It was a fucking embarrassment what Inter Miami did yesterday to present Messi. It was terribly organized. You didn't have a real MC to run it. You need somebody that knows how to talk, that can ad-lib, that can stretch. The people you had on the couches, Taylor Twellman and Kalen, they're not made for that. They're studio hosts. They do a terrific job studio analyzing things, breaking it down. Over, get out. They're not talk show hosts. They're not ad-libbers. They don't know how to do that. And they had nobody to position everything and plug it in the right way. You couldn't hear David Beckham on when you had that video that was welcoming Messi. You should be watching that video like the rest of the people in the stadium. They need to learn a lot from the Miami Heat. They need to learn more from the Miami Dolphins. Okay? I know the Moss brothers mean well. Those guys are awesome. They're great people. But they have zero commitment to everything. I'll give you an example. I go there to go do Onside, right? And we're supposed to be the flagship station. We're going to create a digital station because I tried to explain to them that the future is this, not antennas. They still went back to the antenna. It just shows you how, but that's something that's all over the place. But it's all right. Whatever. So I get there to be the flagship station. Well, guess what? We're not the flagship station. We get there, and they're so unorganized, they can't even make us the flagship station. They can't even put the station inside the stadium to tell the people in the stands that we're on the air. They can't put us on social media. They couldn't put us in their magazines. They couldn't put us in anything. They didn't promote it at all. They got, 1 million followers. Never put it on Twitter. Never told them. I went there to set up the station and to have a coach's show. Never got to coach. The first guy spoke Spanish, so you were screwed there. But the second guy spoke English. No shot. Players, no, none. Be lucky to get one a week, and you're the flagships. You know what I mean? So everything was done so ass backwards. I had zero help whatsoever. I knew I was dead in the water. I knew I was, and whether it's Tim Robbie, and he won't ever tell you anything, or I can name many other people that left before I left, okay? And they saw the same thing, It's a disaster. It's unorganized. And what I would beg the Moss brothers to do out there is spend some money, dude. Get real broadcasters, get real people running it, get organized. You are so unorganized. Outside of the game of football, there is no real commitment. And that's why last night you're presenting the best player in the world. And that's the presentation you had? Seriously? That's the cheesy ass, Banana Republic. Banana Republic. Embarrassing presentation you had. I mean, dude, come on. And this has been for years now. This is not something that just happened last night. This happened from day one. Nothing in that stadium is organized. When it comes to their broadcast, they are a disaster. They put no effort into it. It's all half-ass. Brother, you go to the Heat, and their video, their audio, everything is exceptional. Ed Filomia wins awards with his team inside the effing arena. The production inside the arena. I'm not talking about television or anything else. The freaking production inside the arena for the Miami Heat is exceptional. You got to learn, man. You got to spend some money. I get it. You're spending a lot of money on players, mistakes, ton of mistakes on players, mistakes on coaches, mistakes on general manager. I totally understand. You built a stadium for fun. The Moss brothers are awesome. I'm telling them as a friend. Okay? When I worked there, I tried to reach them. I couldn't. While I'm working there. Because yo no tengo pelo en la lengua. And I told George a lot of shit that was going on. I told him when one specific person left, the place was going to go to shit. Because I knew who the good employees were, and I'm watching the good employees walk out the door. So the one thing that stood out to me last night, because I've been in the inside and I've watched it, they are as unorganized as I've ever seen a business be outside. And by the way, they were unorganized on the player side. My God, they had 5 DPs the first year. They got fined. This is the last year of their fines. They have been a disaster. An absolute disaster. You just got the best player in the world. You did the move of a lifetime. But I'm the only one that's going to tell you, yo, brother, let's go. You gotta improve your presentation. You gotta make it look a lot better and not cheesy. You got to be more prepared. You got to get better professionals to put that shit together. And I know, because I know from experience, everything was done half-ass. On the player side and the team side, they're trying to do everything first class. That I can guarantee you that. You can see it. They're trying. Not that they get to really achieve it, but they're trying. But on the presentation, on the stadium side, parking, everything, they fail so badly. It's a joke. Okay? And everybody that works there knows it's a joke, by the way. Everyone that works there. They may not tell the people above because they don't have the balls. But, I'm not tied to the organization anymore. And I'm just saying, you had it on full display last night. How unprepared, how unprofessional, how just cheap you go about things. Because that's how it ends up the way it ends up when you're cheap. You're cheap in your MC. You're cheap with everything technically. All that stuff should have been tested and ready to go, and you weren't even ready to go. They had to show the camera showing the screen of the people welcoming Messi. Do you know how freaking cheesy that is? They had to back away from it because it was just one cheesy move after another, after another, after another. Truly amazing to me how you can drop the ball and you're bringing the best player in the world. You're spending a world of money, but you'll spend 4 pennies for the coverage of it. So I'm just saying. And by the way, mad props. What really stood out last night to me is you, the fans. You guys are the ones that got an A+. An A++. Okay? Vice City, Southern Legion, the Siege, and all of those fans out there that braved the weather and the delays and all the BS to be out there for that moment. I know it kind of ruins it and all that stuff, and some of you will probably have to deal with a cold or two or something, from the whole deal. But my God, you fans out there that braved that stuff last night, you're amazing. You're amazing. You're maniacal. You know what I'm saying? But mad props. My suggestion, I want the Mouse Brothers to really succeed. Man, start getting the right people. Hire somebody that can put all this shit together the right way. You have the marquee name in all of pro sports in the world. You know what I mean? Let's not use flashlights. Let's use spotlights. You know what I'm saying? Let's not use some kid, that probably got out of broadcast school or maybe is still in broadcast school as your MC. Go get a real professional. Go get somebody that's seasoned, that knows how to buy time and extend and fill. And, you saw Kalen and what's it called? Taylor. Once they were done with the questions, she didn't know where to go and kind of just ended. And there was nobody there to pick it up. And there was all this dead air. It's just so unprofessional. Go watch the Heat, man. Go learn. Learn from the Miami Heat. Everything they do is first class. I don't care if it's a watch party. I don't give a shit if it's the draft. I don't care what it is. It's always emceed properly. It's always carried properly. It's always secured. It's always organized. You got to do better, man. You cannot have the biggest name in the world and have a high school production, a junior high production. I think Piper High, I think I can get the kids at Piper High to put together one hell of a presentation that is way better than what these clowns came up with yesterday. So you want to play games with the biggest player in the world? You're going to be watched all that shit was watched all over the world. Just want you to I want to remind you of that. This wasn't just watched in South Florida. This was watched all over the world, and they said, "Wow, what a shit show." So the world is watching. Okay? It's not just your Hispanic American fans in South Florida watching. No. The world is watching. Anglos are watching. Hispanic Americans are watching. All kinds of people are watching. The guy's name is Messi. And your broadcast was a complete mess. It was a disgrace last night. So pick it up. Let's go, dude. That was an embarrassment. Hire real professionals. Get people that know how to organize all this stuff to make it look good, from imaging on the TV to hosts, have them in different spots for different things going on, have it more organized, have a couple of producers. It's probably the problem. They also went cheap and everywhere else. Stop going cheap. Okay? The money cannot only be spent on players and coaches and facilities. You got to learn how to spend on the other side too. The black and pink looks beautiful, but the people that are representing it are a mess. Anyway, Dola, I got it, bro. You don't like soccer, and and MLS is a joke. I get it. It's they outdraw the NBA and the NHL per game, and they're up to 30 teams. Of course, it's a joke. They just brought the best player in the world. Obviously, it must be a joke. They must have no money whatsoever. I get it, bro. If you don't like it, that's fine, but don't say stupid shit. The thing's made amazing leaps and bounds already. They have teams that are now they are the 15th, 16th, and 17th most expensive teams in the world. So they have 3 of the top 20 most expensive teams in the world. And they're still scratching the surface. And they're growing. I get it, bro. You don't like soccer. But, it can't be a joke when there's 50,000 people in Seattle watching a game. And there's 40,000 in LA and stuff. So, it can't be a joke. It can't be a joke when there's 20,000 in the rain last night watching Messi for no reason at all, just to say hi. Hard for that to be a joke. But what sounds very ignorant is it's a joke because you don't like it. That's the only reason. It's a joke because you don't like it. Yep. You know what? Let's do that. Let's give Messi, for dealing last night with an exploding cigar, let's give him a real cigar. Last night was an exploding cigar of a broadcast. Let's give Messi a winning cigar. Light up a Perdomo, Sean Stanley. There you go. Way to go, Messi. And have you been to the cigar factory there off of the Palmetto and 57th Avenue? Go visit it, man. Go check it out. They got every damn cigar you want at Perdomo inside a giant, beautiful humidor. They got a giant lounge with like a 30-foot couch. I don't think I've ever seen a bigger couch than that one. That is a large-ass horseshoe couch, dude. Big, giant TV to watch sports, anything going on. They got a pool table. So, I mean, that's the kind of way you want to relax with a cigar. And you may run into the star, the Messi of cigars, Nick Perdomo. So, there you go. Check it out. Right off of the Palmetto and 57th Avenue. You'll see it right there off the Palmetto. Perdomo Cigars, baby. 10:24 Monday when O calls someone out. Yeah. Once in a while, we'll call some people out. MLS will be bigger than MLB in 5 years. Well, I don't know about 5, but it's going to start. It'll climb. Eventually it'll climb because young people like it. It's the way it is. I think eventually the MLS becomes the third sport in the league. It'll be football. It'll be the NBA, obviously, and then the MLS. Maybe 20 years from now. I can see something like that. Young people, man, they gravitate more to soccer. Sorry, dude. Millennials and Gen Zs, forget about us old people. We're dying. We're the dying demographic. But the younger demographic, I would not be surprised if the MLS climbs in 20 years. It's already climbed a lot in 20. Now, in the next 20 years, if they start buying more international players and put them in different and wait till they put one in LA. Wait till they put one in New York. Wait till they put one in Seattle. Some of these marquee teams that are already drawing 30, 40, 50,000 people. That is going to be scary. I can't imagine Messi in Seattle when they go to visit. Holy crap. That stadium is going to be packed to the gills. Be fun. It'll be fun. So no matter whether you like it or you don't, it's going to climb because younger people are going to determine it. You know, it's just the way it is. Let's see. If you want to celebrate Messi, light one of my cigars. Well, NorCal, we I don't know if they test. If we light one of your cigars and Messi doesn't pass a test, then it's on you, bro. So you're going to pollute Messi now. I'll admit, not a fan of the game ending in a tie or 0-0. Well, that's because you have to change your mindset and understand that goals are precious. So that's why things like that happen. So when you score, that's why they go crazy. You know, I get it. We're Americans. We love high scoring. You know, I get it. Anyway, Big O, that comment about Piper's production was awesome. Class of 20. Them kids were nerdy, but they know how to produce something. Oh, yeah. Piper High would have produced a much better presentation yesterday than the folks at Inter Miami. There is no doubt in my mind. That was as minor league as it gets. Like I said, the guy coming up now, Ira Winderman, he covers the team that their production for something like this in arena, on TV, whatever, it's always exceptional. Exceptional. And they're far from it. And I know because I experienced it firsthand that there was no dedication to that. They're dedicated to the players, to the coaches, to the facilities, which they're going to do, they're going to go all out. Moss Brothers are going to go all out. They just got to learn the other side of it. You just got the best player in the world, brother. Come on. You better bring the best presentation in the world. That's what you've got to do now. Now that you've got him, the world is watching you, not just South Florida. So, yeah, Piper High would have done a much better job yesterday. Big O, any thoughts on the Lillard acquisition? What's your take and where are we going? Well, we're going to talk to Ira. But I told you a couple weeks back, this thing was going to go into late August, early September. Same crap that's going to go on with Dalvin Cook. Dalvin's going to wait right before training camp and sign because he has to. He has to get his world going. And as we get closer to training camp, Portland doesn't want the mess of Lillard showing up. Miami doesn't want the mess really of Tyler. So they'll pressure builds and they'll get it done. I'm not worried about it. This is all posturing. But hey, why don't we do this? Let's ask Ira Winderman and our Acura Pembroke Pines, Miami Heat, and NBA report.
Heat fans, time for the best insight of your favorite team with insider Ira Winderman, exclusively on the Big O Radio Show. It's the Acura of Pembroke Pines, Miami Heat, and NBA report. Here's Ira Winderman.
All right, how you doing, Ira? You doing good?
I'm doing good. I'm like everyone else, just in this waiting game and figuring it might go a little bit longer, but it makes no sense that it does go much longer.
It doesn't make any sense, but you're dealing with a guy that really is not used to this kind of stuff. Plus, he's kind of put in a corner now because obviously Lillard's representation has done a great job of scaring everybody else off. So this is just kind of, we're going to have to slow walk this thing until they can find the third team to take Tyler. And will there be a fourth team for Caleb Martin? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen here. You and I talked about this. Are they going to have to take the center back or not? Because then that alters the deal.
Sure.
All those kind of things. And I kind of think that Jurkic is coming here only because they're going to be so pissed that they're put into this corner and they don't have a lot of options. They're going to say, well, F it. You guys want him? You got to take Nurkic too at the same time. Let's get rid of both salaries.
So you know what? But I still think this is almost incompetence by Portland from this perspective. If they do wind up taking Jaime Jaquez Jr., they could have picked their own player at number 18 in the draft instead of who the Heat selected. If they're looking for other teams to get into the deal, they could have used expiring money that was sent out, Victor Oladipo, Max Strus, to better make a deal. And even what happened yesterday, San Antonio used their remaining salary cap space to take on Cameron Payne in a draft pick deal with Phoenix. So all of a sudden, the little bit of offloading money here, sending the extra guy there, making it balanced, becomes harder and harder and harder as you go along. A real front office recognizes that and says, you know what? We can't be worried about how people perceive us. We lost the trade. We didn't win the trade. We've got to do what's best for our team. And as you said before I came on today on the Accurate Pembroke Pines report, you don't want Scoot Henderson showing up to camp in Portland and seeing ghosts passed over there, Damian Lillard, one locker down, and all of that. And if you're a real team like Portland and realize you have to reset, and every team resets, the Heat reset after the Big Three, the Heat reset after Dwayne Wade, the Heat reset after Shaq. Teams have to do that. You want to get it done. You want to get it clear. Hey, it happened. We had Dame for over a dozen years. Now we're moving on. But this dragging of it on to make it look like you're not forced into something, screw perceptions. Do what's best for your team. This should have been done yesterday.
I totally agree with you. It should have been done yesterday. And maybe, just maybe, play this game with me. Maybe the Miami Heat is also saying, you know, options are drying out.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to screw themselves. Mm-hmm. We've got them by the balls. So as we get closer to camp, we can tighten the screws on them because they're not going to want Damian Lillard to come back over there. And this weekend, there was another, was it this weekend or maybe early or late last week that came out that IG post where I think it was his agent or something had the music in the background that had something right. Miami related again. And so this is what you want coming to camp. And so maybe with options drying out, the Heat feel like, you know what? Let's let this thing play out. They're going to end up putting themselves in a corner, and now they're going to have to accept whatever deal is in place and whatever we offer them because they don't want the mess of taking Damian Lillard back, and then he's disgruntled, and then it's even harder to get rid of him after that. So could it be that the Miami Heat might say, you know what, this is actually playing into our hands. We can actually end up giving up less by waiting more.
Big O, if they would have made the deal on draft day a month ago, they probably could have got a total of 4 first-round picks, including Jaquez. Now we're in mid-July. They probably still can get 3 first-round picks. Maybe by mid-August, they can get 2 first-round picks. And when we see you in September, hey, we'll give you a first-round pick. And they've got to realize that. Here's the difference. The Miami Heat, even without Damian Lillard, are still a contender. They showed that this past season. They went to the NBA Finals. You could say whether it was a lucky ride or whatever, but they're the Heat. They're going to be involved. They're going to be a team that's going to be competitive.
They're going to be relevant. Right.
Yes, because it's who they are. The Portland Trailblazers are going to be a rebuilding team with Damian Lillard, which they've been for the last 4 years, or a rebuilding team without. You are who you are. So move the train forward. You're not winning the deal by saying, hey, we sweated the Heat out to July. We sweated them out to August. Who gives a rat's F? You're trying to get ready for the October 3rd start of training camp. Have everything in order. And if you're Scoot Henderson right now, you're looking at that and you're saying to yourself, what are these guys doing? I'm the star of the future. If you're Shaedon Sharpe, you're saying, Damian Lillard can't play here. I need my playing time. So you think you would move forward anyway. And in fairness to a Tyler Hero, let him get his log cabin set up in the woods in Portland, or his condo in Brooklyn, or his home next to, downtown in Salt Lake. Move this thing along. There is only one team that's holding it up, and it's the Portland Trailblazers. And they not only are in a no-win situation, they're in a lose-lose situation. So take your L gracefully and just accept that, hey, every NBA team has to take this turn at some point, just like the Heat did with Dwayne Wade and some of their other legendary players.
Hey, listen, man, several years ago, Alonzo Mourning ended up with a kidney ailment. And in the final 2 years of the deal, if I remember correctly, he made somewhere in the neighborhood of $55 million. Barely played and was a free agent. And Miami was in the middle of a rebuilding. It wasn't a trade, but then Zoe left to the Nets.
Correct.
Because the Nets actually were building something that people thought maybe they could be, a contender. I know it didn't work out, dissipated. Then he went to Toronto, and that was a mess and all that stuff. And karma has it where he comes back in 2006 and actually is the most important defensive center in that series because he really changed, defensively that series, and he helps you win. But the Heat gracefully at that time, all they did was wish Zoe well. They probably hated him to go. They wanted him to stay for the rebuild, but Mickey Harrison wished him well. They took the high road. Sometimes things don't work out for you with the star, and you're now put in a place where, well, what are you going to do? You're going to keep screwing the star over? Oh, no, I can get a great deal from Charlotte, so I'm going to send you there. Look at the kid from Utah. He ends up in Cleveland, and while they have a nice team, brother, you still went from Utah to Cleveland. I'm sorry.
But Donovan Mitchell wasn't a franchise icon. He was drafted in 2017. So again, it's a matter of the timing there and the time you put in. You know what? Maybe Portland holds out and gets it.
My point is, if you're Lillard at this point, you want to control your destiny,
right?
Not end up somewhere where you don't want to be. That's just the gist of it. That's what I mean for Donovan Mitchell. And if you're Lillard, you want to try to control it. And now that you're Portland, brother, you had 11 beautiful years with the guy. You couldn't figure it out. I'm sorry. And by the way, this gym's been there, if I'm correct, 17, right?
And in a secondary role until they had to move Neil Olshey out because of the investigation they did there. So here's the deal. Let's say they wait and they get an OG Anunoby, and an Obi in September. And Damian Lillard goes, I can't believe after all I did for this team, you're sending me out to a foreign country. I have family, I have kids, I have a home in Miami. You're doing this to me. Is that how you want it to end? Now, if you're a cutthroat MFer like Bill Belichick, who will send out a player after a week after winning a Super Bowl, that's fine when you have all the rings to show. But when you're this franchise that's been in the wind ever since making the finals against the Bulls, winning the championship under Dr. Jack Ramsey, and you cast yourself as the familial team, it's a different element there. I don't think Joe Cronin can pull off being an MFer and saying, damn it, we got what we want for our franchise because I'm freaking Joe Cronin and it's going to work. It's not. He doesn't have that cachet of even a Pat Riley. It was awful with Dwayne Wade what happened when he went to Chicago. And Mickey apologized and Pat apologized and realized they didn't handle it the same way. Pat, I should have been in the room. To take a hardline stance here is a bad look because Portland, there are certain teams that are cast themselves as we are a familial team. The Heat are sort of an MFer team. They'll just play to win and let you know right away. They'll do what they have to do. That's the difference there.
When you come here, you know that. When you come, you're using them to get better. You're using them to get the next contract. You're using them to win. Well, you know the relationship. Yeah, we'll get you better and all that. But if we want to get better and we got to move you, we'll move you.
Or even, we will trade you Eddie Jones. We love you. We will trade you Goran Dragic. We love you. We will trade you Josh Richardson. We might bring you back one day. So it's all made clear along the way. Portland's a little bit different of an animal. That's their one major league team, with all due respect to MLS. And I know you said they'll grow, but for now, Portland is the Trailblazers. That's what the NBA has done very well. Utah is the Jazz. San Antonio is the Spurs. Those are cast differently. Those are cast as community relationships where the players and the fans come together. Here, fans can leave for the Panthers, leave for the Dolphins, leave for the Marlins. They have choices. It's a different type of market. For Portland to handle it this way is a lot different than for James Dolan or the Los Angeles Lakers or Bomber or another major market team to handle it. Even the Reinsdorfs, who won't spend money in Chicago and go into the tax. They are that type of team. Portland's different. It's just a really bad look for one of the great familial, community-wise franchises in the NBA for the Portland Trailblazers to drag this out. As you said, apparently they will.
Well, considering the progress they made in the last 20 years, you don't think 20 years from now, MLS could be the third team, third sport in this country? Because
I heard you coming on, and the first thing I did is I went to worldsoccerrankings.com, and the MLS is ranked no better than 18th anywhere. and the quality of play has to come up because you know what? Americans know.
By the way, they do have the 15th, 16th, and 17th most expensive teams in the world.
And that's all well and good, but American fans know quality. They know the difference. They know when the when the previous
20 years.
Yes. In a time frame like that, but you know what? You can't then at some point instead of getting 34-year-old stars, you have to get 24-year-old stars. Sure. That's the difference. When Neymar makes his move to PSG, you have to get a player like that to come to your league, not the 34. You remember what it used to be in the previous soccer go-round when Pele came late?
That was more. It's not a retirement league anymore. Now they do have young guys.
They do. But by the way, now they have young
guys, Ira, and now they're selling them to Europe. Something they didn't do before.
Okay, but there's still the most recent names to come in, whether it's Rooney going to Washington, Higuain coming here. You just saw these were retirement tour guys. So is Messi. God bless him. And I know he's still near the top of his game because he's such a unique player. But when you get the 24-year-old player who comes over, when you get a player like that from a World Cup national team, that's when you'll make the turn. Now, maybe you need bigger infrastructure.
They still beat Barcelona, PSG, and the Arab nations for him anyway. They did outbid those people for him.
A 34-year-old. Yes, they did for a 34-year-old. Outbid them for the Neymars.
They've never outbid. It's never been an outbid. It's been a retirement league.
Right.
Outbidding is something new for them.
And I'm saying when they get to the point and they get the stars in their 20s, hell, when they keep a Christian Pulisic here because he realizes, you know what? That's a top league. I can grow my game there. I don't have to go to the Premier League. Right. I don't have to go to Serie A. You know, that's the difference when they can do that.
So you don't see it growing in 20 years to that level.
20 years, yes. But I think right now with the Messi thing, we have to be a little bit more realistic.
I never said no. I never said no. I never said no.
This guy is coming here to play minor league soccer.
Per game, they average more than the NBA and the NHL already as it is. But again, they're not bigger than them yet. Although they're probably getting pretty close to the NHL, actually, to be quite honest.
But again, it's a once-a-week sport. Americans love once-a-week sports. Football is a tailgating celebration. Soccer, maybe you play 2 games a week because you have a cup game or something like that. So you can't compare attendance because the NHL and NBA play 4 games a week. MLB plays 6 games a week. It's a different sport. People love to tailgate.
But it's still, if somebody told you 20 years in, they're going to be averaging 17, 18,000, you're like, really? Get the hell out of here. That's pretty good for America. It's still pretty good for America.
And you know what? The infrastructure is still an issue because the parking is an issue in Fort Lauderdale. And I really want to see when they build by the airport, because remember, part of the deal of building by the airport in Miami is condos, is shopping centers. Will there be a tailgate area? Will there be a place where it becomes a weekly celebration? That's what sells soccer, because that's what sells college football. That's what sells the Dolphins games when you're out there at Hard Rock in the parking lot 4 hours before the game. That's what sells the sport. So I want to see what Moss actually does to make this a celebration as opposed to a business venture.
I'm with you there. All right, let me get to some important stuff.
Sure.
Orlando Robinson rocked it out in the summer league, ended up with 27 points last night, consistently shot the 3-point pretty damn well overall. 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, a block yesterday, just a complete game for Orlando. And one of the things, we can look at it 2 ways. As you get worse as a team, somebody's got to score and do it. But also as you get worse, and there is no Jovic, there is no Jaquez, there is no Bouye here last night. You know, your team's not as good. Right. You know, more pressure on Orlando. And I thought he really did a nice job in this summer league of raising his level of play.
In summer league, he did. But Big O, you've got to say these players aren't as fast, don't jump as high, aren't as athletic. It's a different game. So Orlando Robinson probably today will be named to the all-tournament team in Vegas. He had the best statistical performance. And yet, if you were to ask me, and I just posted this to the Sun Sentinel, I would probably rank him no better than 5th among the Heat players for NBA prospects in Summer League. Because Jovic, I love what he did with his body. That's impressive. Jaquez only played 1 game, but even in that 1 game showed he could be a complementary player on a winning team. Jamal Cain does what NBA players need to do these days. He defends and he makes 3. So I would put him there also. Jamari Bouye.
He can pass too,
And
dude.
he moved the ball. Jamari Bouye, Jamari Bouye, who you liked last year. It's been a long time since the Heat had a speed guard. That could be intriguing also. So I would put Orlando Robinson.
I like that Bouye limited his turnovers by the end of the summer league because he was turning it over a little too much early on.
And the assists, 9 assists, 10 assists. He could play point guard. So I'd probably put Robinson right about tied for 5th or so with, I thought, Peterson and what he did. The kid out of USC who went undrafted for this reason.
Not physical enough. I think he needs to build up that body.
And he does, and maybe on a two-way, but you've already lost Max Strus, and if you have to lose Duncan Robinson in a Lillard deal, you're going to need that shooter, that outside spacing threat. He's intriguing. So Orlando Robinson, as a third-string center, maybe another two-way as a developmental guy, no issue with that. You always have to keep Summer League in perspective. But for me, when I looked at Summer League, Jovic encouraging. Haka is brief but encouraging. Kane really intriguing. Bouye really interesting. Again, this is what the Heat did. They gave us 2 weeks of meaningful summer development basketball to create interest going into October. Another successful summer league. Some other guys you see, they run out a bunch of bums. They say, whatever, we're going to blow this off. The Heat always makes it something meaningful. Credit to them.
Yeah, Jamal Cain can shoot the three. He can rebound. He's tough.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you something. You look at his body and you don't think that he can play, physical and tough in there, and he does. I really, since last year when he came in late in the summer league, and then from there on, he has done a really, really nice job.
Matter of fact, I sat next to Keith Askins in Vegas, and I told Askins, and I told him that, and I told Keith, I said to him, you know what? I want this kid to turn into you. I want him to be you. If Jamal Cain becomes Keith Askins,
he's got more skill. He's a much better ball
handler. I don't want to tell that to Keith that he wasn't skilled, but yes, I agree.
Yeah, I really like Jamal Cain. There's something about him.
Yeah, like I totally agree.
Like that, like he's fearless. You know what I mean? That's what there's something about him. He's not afraid of the shot. He's not afraid of the tough pass. He's not afraid of the rebound. He's not afraid to defend. I mean, just everything about Jamal Cain. I'm a huge, huge fan of that kid. So who do you got today? The Rockets or the Cavs?
You know what? Here's something to watch if you're a Heat fan that's interesting. Cam Whitmore was supposed to be a top 10 pick, a lottery pick out of Villanova. There were personality questions. There were injury questions. He slipped and slipped and slipped. I was sitting in the draft room with some of the Heat people, and I said, wow, he's going to get to us. And they're like, come on, he's a lottery guy. Yeah, we got Karan at 10 because he slipped. You got Justice at 10 because he slipped. This will never happen. He was there for the Heat. So when you watch the Houston Rockets tonight play the Cavaliers in the championship game of the Vegas Summer League, keep an eye on Cam Whitmore because he could become the one who got away, just like Devin Booker 13, Justice Winslow number 10, like that. So I always look at the players the Heat bypassed. Cam Whitmore has been very good. Again, in perspective, people, it's just Summer League. But I think that'll make tonight's game in Vegas, the championship game, worth looking at.
By the way, did you get to see the biography Goliath on Wilt Chamberlain?
I want to watch the whole series together. I know it debuted last night on Showtime, so I will watch the multi-part series, but I heard it was very good. I've contended from the get-go. It
wasn't very good.
Oh, it wasn't?
Exceptional.
Okay. And I'm glad. And I've always told people this. When people ask me the greatest player of all time in the NBA, I say Wilt Chamberlain. Because back in his time, Big O, people would say, well, he's just bigger than everyone. Well, we have seen in a half century since, there are plenty of players who are bigger than everyone. Basketball is more about height. He could shoot, he could pass, he could defend, he could do so much. He just didn't have the talent around him that Bill Russell had. We now know in the NBA, you could be Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, John Stockton. You could be a player like that and never win a championship, but you could still be great. Wilt was that great.
Oh, yeah. Until that Laker team, that's the team that...
When Riley got him, when they got him to pass, and they said, you don't have to score, and that's all he did was pass. He refused to even look at the rim.
Then they ripped him for not scoring enough because he was
whole career.
And all that. But I don't want to play spoiler, but there are so many things about this man that was like, I'll give you a little nugget. Jackie Joyner Kersey became Jackie Joyner Kersey because of Wilt Chamberlain. He supported women's athletics and he supported a women's track team on his own. And one of the women that he recruited on that track team, who then went on to the U.S., her name is Jackie Joyner Kersey. So he had as much as we talk about, the infamous slept with 20,000 women and all that stuff, he actually cared about people, a lot of people, and especially women will tell you about what kind of a human being he was. And you've got to watch the documentary. It is awesome. By the way, at noon, we are going to have Rob Ford and Christopher Dillon, both the directors of the series. And I watched all three yesterday, and I'm telling you, it was moving. As I get older, I end up crying a lot watching stuff. You'll end up tear jerking a few times, especially in that third chapter. They did a marvelous job of telling his story and coming from his perspective. And I thought it was, I'm telling you, you're going to love it. You're going to learn some stuff you never knew about from him, but it was awesome, Ira. Awesome. Great watch. Seriously. Enjoy. By the way, our boy Wally Jones is all over it. Sure. And so is Pat Riley. Also.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, what do you got going on the Sun Sentinel so folks can check you out?
Like I mentioned, I rated the Summer League players and where they stand and just sort of my view of where Orlando Robinson is. So give that a look, people. Let me know if you agree or disagree. But a really productive Summer League. It was a joy to be out there and spend some time with these kids and see the development. A lot of the players we saw the last 2 weeks in Sacramento and Vegas, we will see in Heat Summer Camp with a viable chance to make this roster.
Follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat. Catch his work there at the Sentinel and subscribe to it. Ira, as always, thank you. Appreciate it.
Catch you next time in our accurate Pembroke Pines report. Thank you, Big O.
Thank you, sir. There you go. Ira Winderman getting it done. All right. Emilio says, just confirmed Zach Thomas coming to Houston to offer signing to fans, photo ops, and signing memorabilia. Just bought my ticket. There you go. Nice. Good for you. Good for you. Man, I hope we get Lillard now. What are we willing to sacrifice future-wise? Like I told you, I think I've read this pretty good. This is just playing into the Heat's hands. Let them take the time. They're just putting themselves – they have no options. They can't play anybody against the Heat. He doesn't want to go anywhere. So nobody's trading for a guy that they're going to have to pay nearly $300 million with taxes and everything to, play for their team and be disgruntled. That's not happening. I'm sorry. Not happening. By the way, that is our Acura Pembroke Pines, Miami Heat and NBA report.
You've been listening to the Acura of Pembroke Pines, Miami Heat and NBA report with Ira Winderman. When you're looking for award-winning service and great deals from the #1 volume Acura sales dealership in the Southeast United States, you go to Craig's Inn Acura of Pembroke Pines at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Anyway, let me tell you something. If you have not seen Goliath, you need to go see it. You need to watch all 3 episodes. It is awesome, emotional, informative, educational. Just, you'll have your appreciation for Wilt Chamberlain will grow. And you'll educate yourself on just his greatness, man. And his greatness as a human being, by the way. Okay? His greatness as a human being. And I think Jerry West might be right about how misunderstood he was, as a person. So check it out. It is so good, man. I'm looking forward to watching it again, just so I can pick up on stuff that maybe I missed on the first go around. Ray Grullon, what's up, baby? He says, howdy, Moss Brothers messed up only streaming the world's best player only through Apple Plus, and the first game's only on Apple Plus. They should have planned to show it on 33 as example. Mound marketing by Moss Brothers. No, Ray, that's not. I disagree with you. I blame the Moss Brothers for a shitty presentation yesterday. And by the way, for 4 years of just going cheap on everything with your presentation, they need to do much better there. I disagree with you, my brother. Apple's paying the salary. Adidas paying the salary. Sorry, bro. You know, you want to see Messi? They were offering, it was what, $99 for the season, and then they were offering half the season at half price. So that's $25. So for $25, you can watch Messi for the rest of the year. If you don't want to do it, then that's fine. That's your choice. You know what I'm saying? But that's not the Moss brothers. You know, you needed Apple in order to bring Messi here. And Apple has a platform. So you're going to have them pay for Messi and put him on free television? No, dude. That's just not the way it goes. That's not life. That's not Moss. That's everybody. The MLS helped out, Adidas helped out, Apple helped out, and Moss helped out. It's Moss only did not bring Messi here. So it's a complicated deal, but if you want them to cross this threshold of bringing superstars, this may be the trick, tying huge sponsors to them and then having that money funnel through. And that's just the way it goes. Messi gets a cut of everybody that subscribes on Apple. That's part of the deal, dude. So, Ray, you and I are going to completely disagree on this. I will blame the Moss brothers for continually going cheap on everything they do when it comes to broadcast and presentation and even stadium stuff around. They cut corners there way too much. But on the player side, on the training facility, team, coaches, they do not cut any corners. And this deal, the only way it was going to happen is the way it happened. And if Apple or Amazon or ABC or whoever wants to control it and put it on their own app and you've got to pay for it, God bless them. We got Messi. So that's the trade-off. You know what I mean? And if you can't spend $25, then maybe you're not really a Messi fan. You're not really an Inter Miami fan. $25 for the second half of the season is really no money. That's nothing. So you and I are going to disagree on this one, brother. Ant says, you weren't kidding about the Messi intro being terrible. I just went back and flipped through it. Holy crap. It was amateur hour but it's been like that for 4 years. Everything they do is cheap. Everything they do is half-ass. They just don't give a shit about it like they do the players and the training and the facility and the stadium, which is great for your fans. But then when you do the presentation, everything's half-ass. So, yeah. Somebody needs to crack the whip in that place and, hire the right people, demand excellence. It's just, man, that is some half-ass shit that they do there. The Apple TV production was bad, too. You can barely understand what the translator was saying. Yeah. No, it was horrible, Frankie. But that I blame on Inter. They've got to put together. They're the one in control of the broadcast. So they need to do much better. And this is for their radio broadcast. This is for their TV broadcast. This is the stadium stuff that they do. People go to park there. It's a disaster. Yesterday somebody left their security post and people busted through. And it's just, bro, everything about that is done half-ass. And I'm the only one that's going to say it. Nobody in the media is going to rip them. They're going to say, oh, rain, but it doesn't stop the momentum. It gives them the positive this. And nobody's going to rip into anything. I am, because maybe somebody will listen. Maybe they'll actually look in the mirror and they'll probably say, we need to take some pride in the way we represent ourselves, because, boy, we suck at the way we represent ourselves. Maybe they'll do that. Oh, I think there's a movie called Freedom. Have you seen it? Oh, yeah, the soccer one with Rocky, right? Yeah. I know which one you're talking. Is it Victory or Freedom? I think it's Victory. Maybe it's Freedom. I'm not sure. Why am I thinking Victory?
He said Sounds of Freedom. It's a new movie, Sounds of Freedom.
Oh, there's a new one. Oh, okay. No, I don't know it then. No. I thought you were talking about the old one. No. I'll have to check it out. What the hell is it about? Well, first things first, there is no Messi if there's no Channel 33. Apple is helping, so this is the need to happen to bring Messi to the MLS. Okay. No, Channel 33 has nothing to do with it, bro. I wouldn't be surprised if Inter Miami shared revenue on 33, like a partnership. Ray says, thanks for the clarification, my friend, on the deal. I got Apple Plus. Well, then you're good. You're good. But they're paying for it, bro. So I don't blame them. You know what I mean? Big O, I've had this soccer versus American sports discussion before, and it's always the same. Soccer doesn't have multipliers for their scores and doesn't award points for half scores, aka field goals. Yeah, which has nothing to do with it, and the sport has grown immensely since it started back in the 90s. So they're up to 30 teams, guys, and they're expanding to 32. You know, they've got TV deals. They're bringing players over. They're growing, whether you like it or not, whether you like soccer or not. It's growing. So, you know, Dolphin Stadium would be perfect location. Yeah, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. They're not going to share the money, dude, because the people at the stadium are going to want a big slice of it. And so they'd rather get the entire pie from their stadium. And so they're going to have to create more revenue streams at their stadium. Frankie Fresco, thank you for the love on the super chat. Remember, you can make a donation through Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. That is Cash Big O Show. And you can make a Bitcoin donation. You know, we love our Bitcoin donations on Cash App or Venmo, Cash Big O Show. They should have hired Sean Stanley for that event. Yep. See, if they hire Sean, then the place is packed. Everybody's happy. I agree. Paco says, as a Real Madrid fan for 20 years, it's very strange to have to root for Messi now that he's playing for Inter Miami. Hope that feeling will go away when he drags us out of the basement of the MLS. They're not going anywhere, bro. They're not making the playoffs. They may not be last because they'll win a couple of games, but I think this is going to be pretty ugly, actually. You know? Unfortunately, it'll be fun to have Messi for a couple games. He'll score some goals, but I don't think they're going to win a ton. And I think eventually that they don't make the playoffs. They're so far, they're so deep that it's just, you know, the one thing they have not turned out to be a good soccer franchise yet. Their front office hasn't proven to be good yet. As much as I like Chris Henderson, okay, he has not proven yet that he's like some kind of soccer guru and finding guys and developing. You know, now he's only in his second year, but, you know, we'll see. But they're not good at developing a team. Buying Messi and Busquets and who's the third guy that's coming now? Damn it, what's his name? You know, that doesn't take skill. Those are obvious moves. That's just money and power. Skill is developing young players and finding nuggets and stuff like that. And they haven't done enough of that. Big O, a couple of more Sundays left till NFL Sunday's back. Thank the Lord. I'm tuning in to Baseball Marlins. Finally, fun team. Also, which is your favorite show setup? Big O, my favorite show setup. What does that mean, Campos? I don't know what that means. What's my favorite show setup? You got to explain that to me. Big O, can you send us a photo of your hat collection sponsored by Edge Energy Drink and Nature Bee? Brother, you just got to watch every day, and I'll add a hat. Tomorrow I'll add a new Dolphins hat that I got. I was going to do it today, but I said, today we got to give Inter a little love and hate. Because I'm hoping somebody, gets that video to them and say, hey, wake the hell up. Stop being cheap in your broadcasts. Bro, with Copa America and the World Cup, more people will get invested in a soccer watch. He's right. He's right. Pelé was in the movie. Great movie. Yeah, right. That's it. You are correct. All right, what else do we have going on in the world of sports? We got a lot of shit going on. Heat beat the Blazers 104-78. Inter Miami loses to St. Louis 3-0. Marlins get swept by the Orioles. They played a good team. Yeah, they lost 5-2 on Friday. Although Sandy did pitch well, he went 6 innings, allowed 8 hits, 2 earned runs, 5 Ks. So that's actually, a good outing for Sandy. They lost on Saturday 6-5, and then yesterday 5-4. So a lot of close games, losing to the Orioles. The good thing is they get to play a shitty team today, starting with the Cardinals, who are 40-53. So that's actually pretty cool that they get back on track. But it's the good teams. Those are the tests to see where you're at. And getting swept was not a lot of fun. What else do we have going on around the world and America? Pennsylvania, thoughts and prayers to our friends in Pennsylvania with the floods. I'm glad that they caught the serial killer from Gigolo Beach. That is 1/6 some bitch, that Rex Heuermann guy. Went to the Buck Cherry concert on Saturday. Had a great time, except for the one rude dude. Hopefully everybody in Alaska is all right. There was a 7.2 earthquake on Saturday. There were some tsunami alarms going off, but no tsunami. And Carly Russell returned to the house after disappearing for 2 days. In a sick world where they baited a kid and she got off the road to try to attend a child. So if you see a child that's alone and scared or lost on the side of a road, toddler, child, whatever, you can't stop anymore. Have you noticed this? When somebody drops something, you're hesitant to pick it up for them now? You ever notice that? You're like, oh, I don't know if I should mess with that person's stuff. I don't know if I should touch it. They might freak out if I touch it, after pandemic stuff, all that. You know what I'm saying? It's like we are starting to, we have to lose our common decency. You can't help a broken car on the side of the road anymore. That's been years now because, they bait people with that. Now you see a child stranded, alone, scared, nervous. You have to keep driving saying that could be somebody using that child as bait to kidnap me. Now we haven't been able to get all the particulars of what happened to Carly, but that is the impression you get. And obviously, apparently her boyfriend put out like this whole thing, like, mentally she's, it's hard to talk to her right now. She was fighting for her life for 48 hours. And so I don't know if she got away. I don't know if the captors saw the amount of attention and they were like, holy crap, this thing is too hot. We got to let her go. I don't know what happened. But man, that's some scary stuff that we cannot be decent human beings anymore. How weird is that, Sean, huh? You see a 7-year-old child walking on the side of the road, abandoned, maybe crying, maybe worried, and you have to keep driving. How does that make any sense? How does that make any sense? Where are we going, dude? What kind of a world are we living in? No, chivalry is gone. History. Like I told you, somebody drops something and you're like hesitant to pick it up for them nowadays. Because you don't know how that person's going to react anymore. Weird, man. Weird. Let's see. I'd pull over, stay in the car, and call the cops until they show up. But what about if somebody then pulls up with a gun out of the bushes? You know what I mean? What are you gonna do? Hit the accelerator, and then they're still gonna shoot at you, maybe. I don't know, dude. It's just weird, man. Now, if you're a woman, you certainly can't stop. Maybe if you're a man, you're carrying a gun, maybe you can protect yourself and call the cops and, protect the child and, look everywhere paranoid until the cops get there. You know what I'm saying? But it's weird, dude. Weird. Oh, what are your thoughts on the little girl who threw a water balloon that connected? Well, it wasn't Pence. It was it was an official. It was a county official that got pelted. Personally, I think, the little girl has loser parents. That's all. Doesn't matter if it was Pence or anybody else. And I know that they said that there's this thing that they do, that they throw water balloons and all that. That guy didn't look like he was in the fight of a water balloon. He was, like waving at people like a regular candidate would do. So he was I forgot exactly the title of that person, but he was a county official. And so, yeah, he got pelted, nice throw by her, by the way. She's got an arm. She got aim, or she got lucky. But either way, it's just a scumbag move by the little girl and the parents. That's all. Like, I could never even get close to my parents if I did that. You know what I mean? So if it was something that was part of a joke that I don't know about, well, then whatever. Okay. But it didn't look like it. And it wasn't Pence. It was somebody else. And I'm not a Pence fan. But again, it doesn't really matter to me. You know what I mean? It's just kind of about doing what's right. And there's nothing right about that. So, yeah, that was kind of a low-life move. No, we have not done celebrity birthdays today. But we can if you want. I haven't gotten to it, but we can do it right now. Right here, right now. Let's get you some birthdays. Let's see. Where are we at? Celebrating July 17th. Today's not an impressive list, to be quite honest. It's kind of a weak list overall. A lot of YouTube and TikTok stars that I have no idea who they are. Luke Bryant, country singer, it's pretty good. 47 years old today. Connor Bedard, hockey player, is 18 years old. David Hasselhoff is 71 years old today. Camila Parker Bowles, for our friends over across the pond, she is 76 years old today. Tom Fletcher, lead singer for McFly, 38. Donald Sutherland is 88 today. Couple of names, but not a long list. I think that's it. I think those are your celebrities today celebrating birthdays. And in music history on July 17th, many things happened. First of all, we start off in 2006. Jane's Addiction guitarist Dave Navarro announced that he and Carmen Electra had separated after 3 years of marriage. Do me a favor, Sean, look up, does Dave Navarro still suffer from COVID? Because he wasn't able to taste or smell for like close to 2 years. It's weird how that COVID shit affects all of us completely different. One person it may not affect, another person it may be like a light cold, another person could have breathing problems for like the next 6 years. Another person may not have smell or taste for a month or 6 months or 2 years or whatever. the weirdest thing, dude. The weirdest thing, how we don't know what's in our DNA that damn virus affects. Anyway, in 96 on this date, Smashing Pumpkins drummer Jimmy Chamberlin was fired from the band 1 week after being arrested on drug possession charges in connection with the fatal overdose of touring keyboardist Jonathan Melvin. In 2011, Cheap Trick's stage collapsed during a severe thunderstorm at Canada's Ottawa's Blues Fest. While the band escaped unscathed, their instruments and equipment weren't as fortunate. Well, they got plenty. Did they save the 5-neck guitar from Rick Nielsen? That's all that matters. In 87 on this date, the Ozzy Osbourne band started a 16-week tour on U.S. prisons. In 92 on this date, Guns N' Roses kicked off a tour with Metallica and Faith No More in Washington, D.C. That's a hell of a concert, by the way. In 68, the animated film We All Live in a Yellow Submarine, a Yellow Submarine, a Yellow Submarine, premiered in London. While the Beatles made a cameo in the flick, they did not supply their own voices for the characters. And that, my friends, is what happened today in Musica Historia. There you go. So you got your birthdays and you got your music news for a day like today. Oh, by the way, speaking of music, Sean, apparently Shakira is no longer with the F1 driver because it looks like they really are dating. I didn't believe, it's hard to believe anything that things are reported nowadays, but they had that one picture of Jimmy and Shakira, and I was like, get out of here. But apparently the 46-year-old and the 33-year-old are actually dating for real. They were seen leaving a dinner date at Novikov restaurant and bar in London. An insider shared that Jimmy makes Shakira smile, and she's happy spending time with him. So there you go. So as of now, the pair have only known each other for a short while and just recently started following each other on social media. The sons, Milan 9, Sasha 7, who shared with ex-Gerard Piqué, however, have been longtime fans of the athlete, according to the outlet. So, Shakira, and Jimmy Butler. Wow. Okay. Mad props. I mean, if you're going to go out with somebody 13 years, you're senior, then Shakira is probably a pretty good one to go after, because that woman at 46, it was awesome. No, it was not Mike Pence, Dan B. Get the information right. It was not. So, just so you'll know. No, it wasn't. Big O, Donald Sutherland as Oddball in Kelly's Heroes. Great job, yes. Dave Navarro got replaced by Minnie Navarro. Did you find anything there, Sean, on Dave Navarro? Is that poor man still suffering from COVID?
There's nothing concrete. In January, he was replaced on the tour, and then I'm reading an article from May, and it just says that he first caught COVID in December 2021. And it's shared his old experience. It's not like a newer, the word isn't newer. So he's like, I still don't know how long, but that was replaced in January on the tour for this year. So
that means he's still having issues.
Yeah. I'm guessing. Yeah.
Wow. And he got it in 21, you said, right? So we're 2 years, well into 2 years.
December 2021, he got it. The end of 2021.
Wow. Okay. So we're approaching 2 years.
Yeah, approaching 2 years.
Wow. And he's still dealing with that shit. It's insanity. It's just a matter of luck, man. If you didn't get it, great. If you got it and went through you, even better. But we just don't know how it affects people. That's the weirdest thing, dude. Weirdest thing. So,
Selma Hayek too.
Red 369 says, I haven't been able to smell since COVID. Wow, Red. That's tough, dude.
They did 8 celebrities that had it, and Alyssa Milano's on the list. Selma Hayek is on the list for having.
Yeah, but they're still not suffering.
Yeah. So those.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Salma Hayek's living her best life. I mean, she just put an IG post on a sailboat. Jesus Christ. 56 years old, and that woman is in like impeccable shape. It's crazy. Let's see. Deborah Harry from Blondie in the 70s. I wish I was born 30 years earlier to see her live at Top of the Pops smoke show. Yep. Yeah, Deborah Harry was beautiful, talented. Her voice was epic. Now she doesn't have any power in her voice. When you go see her in concerts, it's like she sings at a lower register, but at the same time, she has no power in her voice. So when you hear her hanging on the telephone and dreaming and, all kinds of stuff where she has to use the power of her voice, she doesn't have that anymore, unfortunately. But, man, she was, it reminds you a lot of Ronnie James Dio, that he was a little guy with this powerful voice. And Blondie was this skinny little girl, and she just had this giant voice that it could magnify, it's just a gift, man. It's a gift. Just one of those things, and it only lasts for so long for some. Like, you watch Chrissy Hine, and she still has a power in her voice, and it's impressive at her age. Some can still carry it. Hell, I saw Charlie Daniels at 80 or 81. I think it was at the Pompano Beach Amphitheater. This must have been, I don't know, maybe a year or two before he passed away or something. And his voice was still sounding powerful. Now, Charlie was probably not a druggie and alcoholic, and that usually affects Rob Halford from Judas Priest, who still has a great voice. And Victim of Changes, which is one of the most difficult songs he sings, he still can sing it. And why? Because he went clean 20-something years ago. If he stayed doing drugs, then that might have, or drinking a lot of alcohol, that might have taken a toll on his voice. Again, all of our DNAs are different. One guy can smoke cigarettes till he's like 97 and hang out and nothing. And then another guy can smoke cigarettes till he's 47 and he ends up with emphysema and lung cancer. And it's the craziest thing. The guy that's 97 is still smoking a pack a day, drinking a quart of whiskey and living life. And the other guy at 47 is freaking dead and did the same things. And it's just his body could not do it. And this guy's body can. And we can't answer it. And that's why Dave Navarro or my man Red 369 here, it says he still can't taste. He says, I haven't been able to smell, since COVID. I don't know how long he's had it. But, and a bunch of you probably got COVID and it went right through you like a regular cold. It's the weirdest thing, dude. That's why you had to respect it. And I know a lot of you didn't respect it and all that kind of stuff. But whatever. Because it didn't affect you or your family directly. That's all. Let's see. Weapon X United, thank you again for the love on the super chat. One last birthday wish for today, Big O. Mine. Oh, well, happy birthday, Weapon X United. I hope you have a fantastic and perfect day, my brother. And hopefully some of us will have a cold one for Weapon X United and wish him a birthday. Happy birthday, my brother. Thank you, Weapon X United, for giving us a present on your birthday. So appreciate that. That's very nice of you. Big O, did you talk about DeAndre Hopkins? What do you think about it? Well, you know what? I got a couple more minutes here till David Furones. All right, let me tell you what I think about that deal. I think that deal is a terrible deal for the Titans. This is a wide receiver that is no longer getting the kind of separation he used to get. So what happens when you have tight windows? You need to be deadly accurate. Well, guess what? You've got Ryan Tannehill, and you've got Will Levis and Malik Willis. Malik Willis is so bad that they had to draft Will Levis. That's how bad Malik Willis is, that they had to sign a guy off the street to start a playoff game because they couldn't trust Malik Willis. So Malik Willis must be so bad in the classroom and in practice that they had to go draft Will Levis. And Ryan Tannehill is not an accurate passer. So to me, this is disaster in the making. You don't have accurate or young passers. You have a wide receiver that is going to require you to be exceptionally accurate because he doesn't give you big windows anymore. 2 years, $26 million. The Patriots lowballed DeAndre. That's why he did not end up going to the Patriots. And I know Patriots fans are kind of pissed off, but then again, you don't have necessarily the best quarterbacks there either. And by the way, somebody tell Bill Belichick, hey, buddy, you no longer can lowball anybody. The Patriots are no longer the destination anymore. There is no Tom Brady. There is no sexiness anymore. Okay? Somebody tell Belichick that you are now the Portland Trail Blazers, the Charlotte Hornets. You are the old Miami Dolphins. You are teams that have to now overpay for people to play for you. Somebody remind Belichick that he is no longer a sexy destination. But Tennessee and DeAndre Hopkins does nothing for me. I will laugh at Tennessee because they're also signing DeAndre Hopkins because their first-round pick from 2 years ago is also a disappointment. Looks like Tennessee isn't drafting like they used to. Let's get to our EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report with David Furones.
Dolphins fans, time to get insight on your favorite team with your favorite reporter with an Expos hat. Sports Illustrated's Alan Poupart in our EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report, exclusively on a Big O radio show.
Good morning, sir. How was your weekend?
My weekend was fantastic. And if I still have enough of a voice to get through this segment, I will be happy to provide that for you.
So if we IV you, we can milk out how many gallons of alcohol?
Oof. Too much. I lost count. I wasn't counting after a while, but it was a fun weekend in New Orleans. I know this intro has Alan Poupart with his Montreal Expos hat. Wasn't Montreal. I was in the French Quarter, at least in New Orleans.
There you go.
That's something. So at least we have some consistencies there. But blast.
Wake up in the morning to have a vignette.
What's that?
Did you wake up in the morning to have a vignette somewhere?
Oh, okay. So yesterday was supposed to be my travel back day, and I had a comfortable 5 p.m. flight to get back. Evening time, Miami, no problem, right? The weather actually in both cities at first delayed the flight 2 hours, then canceled it. I did have my beignet and coffee at Café du Monde yesterday morning, a nice Sunday morning beignet and coffee in New Orleans with some jazz musicians playing right off on the sidewalk. It was wonderful. What an experience. It went downhill once we got to the airport and had to cancel a flight. Had to end up on a 6 a.m. today. So grabbed the hotel room to then catch some shut-eye. I was already beat yesterday. And then get back to the airport in the 4 o'clock hour sometime, like an hour before the flight. And
I told Sean when we went to the Senior Bowl, we drove, right? And I drove there and back, right? And I was telling Sean that, it's a 9 hour and 40-minute drive, right? When you take into the amount of time that you drive to the airport, then you fly, right? And then you also have to then check out, get your bags. Then you have to go rent a car, and then you have to drive 2 hours to Mobile. It was a total of 7 hours.
Yeah.
I go, the difference is a little over 2 hours, but I don't have to deal with any hassle. I just get in the car and I drive right to Mobile. If there's a little bit of a delay, I'm going to get there before the plane does, before, my whole thing. Like what you had now, those delays, I would have already, if it's the same delays, I get there before the damn plane does. That's how bad traveling is nowadays. How about that? How crazy is that? Okay.
Right. And those are some of the cities where it's debatable which one to go to. I mean, like Tampa, I always like to just drive. I have family in Tampa. I've gone for different things, whether it was when I was on the high school beat and had to go to that part of the state, or for any state competition, or visiting family, or Dolphins Buccaneers, regular season game 2 years ago, preseason game last year, and junior practices, all that stuff. Jacksonville, one time I took a very comfortable flight to cover state track when I covered high school state track, or just high school sports. And it was also.
I drove from Marino 62.7. Okay.
Yeah. The one difference is when you're flying, then you can pull out your laptop and work on stuff when you have time. If there's breaking news, you can get to it. So driving, I got to drive the car. So, but if you're riding with someone, then you can do all those things too.
Right. That too. Yeah. You can switch it if anything.
Yeah.
You got to type it up. All right. You agree with me, DeAndre Hopkins? I don't see that. You need accurate quarterbacks. I don't see that. You see inexperience there. You got Tannehill. He doesn't have the separation. I think it's kind of a desperation move because their young receiver has kind of been a disappointment. What do you think about that DeAndre Hopkins move?
Yeah. He signed for how much was it?
2 years, $26 million. Can make another $6 million in incentives.
Yeah. It's big. I mean, his production, his availability hasn't been there the last 2 years. Obviously, he had a great run seasons before that. So that's especially this late in the process. Then I could see why he went to Tennessee based on what he had there in terms of the offer. But there's a lot of other factors in play with Tennessee, and especially they did give up their stud receiver that they did have in AJ Brown not long ago in that trade to Philadelphia. So. That's why now they feel so desperate, it seems, to replenish.
Well, no, the Traylon Burks kid,
from Arkansas has not panned out thus far. So they have some desperation there. Had to draft a quarterback and then draft another one the year before, Malik Willis, not panning out either, at least in the short period of what they've seen there. So
if they drafted Will Levis, then Malik must be a freaking disaster, bro.
Right.
For them to draft a quarterback the year after, for them to pick up Dobbs off the street to start Malik, holy,
in games that determine whether they would make the playoffs or not.
Yeah,
whether they would win a division or not.
Right. And to me, that's where, obviously things have changed for him. And I understood the trade of AJ Brown, because if you're going to go to Malik, why pay AJ all that money? Draft another young guy. Hope that you hit on the quarterback and the receiver, and then they both grow together. I understood the method behind the madness of what they were trying to do. You know what I mean? But it's just completely backfired on them because, dude, A.J. Brown is like, he's the guy you throw when he's covered.
Right. That Tannehill can do that with.
Right.
Anybody, Derrick Henry.
Right. Anybody can do it because A.J. Brown is a freak, bro. You're not really going to jump with him. You're not going to fight him and win because he's so strong. You know what I'm saying? He has these Jimmy Butler hands, too, that they're like, vice grips. And so he's a beautiful receiver in that sense. And maybe that's where they misjudged it, because if you don't have great quarterbacks, you should have a guy that makes your life easy. And that's what that guy does. That guy's, my God.
That's when Ryan Tannehill had people going a little bit for a year or two there, where when he had the combination of Derrick Henry, who's running the ball, and then all he had to do was play action, and you have A.J. Brown over the top that you just lofted up to, then, you could maybe throw for some touchdowns and some efficient yardage on your pass, yards per pass.
Yeah, I just think it's not going to end up working out here now with DeAndre Hopkins. I think this is going to be a disaster of a signing. And then New England lowballs him, and I think Belichick hasn't realized now yet that he's no longer that destination anymore. Without Brady, people aren't going to take less to come to you, dude, anymore. you're going to have to overpay for people to come to New England as free agents. You agree with that?
Yeah, you're not grabbing Randy Moss in his prime, although when he went over there, he had his little bad stint with Oakland as well. But yeah, you're not going to have that record-setting combination in the first year together that season that Randy Moss had with Tom Brady. I mean, the appealing aspect was to have Brady throwing you the ball if you were going there. And a lot
or even if you were playing defense, you were playing with Brady at least. You knew the offense. Hey, I could go do my job on defense. I'll take a little less to go to New England. That's not going to happen anymore.
Yeah, because even then there were a lot of you weren't seeing a lot of prime receivers going to New England because they had their system set with Gronk over there, Aaron Hernandez, when they had that 2 tight end set going.
No, just in general, it would get people to take less.
O-line,
a running back, a receiver, whatever. They would all take a little less. That's not going to happen anymore, bro.
Right. So if you're part of that defense, you're part of that defense that could then set up on the opposite side of Brady, then that was something appealing always in the past that you wanted to win a championship. You knew that was where you go, even if you take a little bit less money. And even if it's not your favorite free agent destination as far as the location to go to, then you could still sacrifice that because you had those visions of title chances.
Are we a week away from Dalvin Cook finally making a decision, my brother?
Well, if it's happening, it's got to be within a week if he's going to be showing up for training camp. So I don't think much is changing right now. It seems like it's just Dolphins have their offer on the table. Other teams have their offers on the table. Unless I didn't see anything updated while I was away and not even thinking about this all weekend since the last time I spoke to you. But I haven't seen any updates since then. So it seems like we're a week away, and it's the same scenario. You've got what you got on the table from the Dolphins. You've got some probably a little bit more lucrative deals on the table from other teams, but that may not be in terms of as financially responsible choices because of the taxes, and also you have the location of where you're going. So probably a lot to factor in for Dalvin Cook, how much he wants to be here in Miami.
What'd you think of the agent, revealing that Minnesota has a $7 million offer on the table when, dude, he's not going to eat his ego and go back, even if it's for more money, to back up Alexander Mattison. That would be just wrong because he talked about being the focus of a running game, getting the majority of the carries and team needing me and all that. And he needs to go somewhere else where he could possibly have a good year and show the people in Minnesota, not succumb to Minnesota and say, yeah, I'm no longer good enough to be your starter, but I'm good enough to be your backup. So I don't know how you viewed it, but I kind of viewed it like that is some bogus, desperate-ass stuff by the agent. But your thoughts on that?
Yeah, but I wouldn't go as far as saying he's now going to be going into a situation as a backup. I mean, at least it would be a 1A, 1B type of backfield scenario with him and Alexander Mattison. If anything, I mean, yeah, you got to give him a little bit of an edge at least. I know the Vikings haven't.
No, bro. They put Mattison on the marquee. They put him on the marquee of the team while he was on the team. At the end of the year, several weeks back, right before they released him, they took out this thing for season ticket holders, and Dalvin Cook on the picture. It was Alexander Mattison, like saying, "We've moved on." So I don't know, bro.
That's because he was still technically on the team, but the writing was on the wall. Everyone knew what was going on at the price that Dalvin Cook was getting paid on that contract over there. So. But I mean, if I just money, then you still have to utilize them.
No, you're right about that. But I just think that they're justified by still giving him the majority of the carries because they gave him the new contract, they committed to him, they put him on the marquee and all that stuff. Madison, I think they're committed to Madison, bro. They're committed to Madison as the number one guy.
Well, yeah. Once you're moving on from Cook at that moment, then you have to do that part of it. Now, if then the scenario plays out that Cook ends up back there, if all those things were to happen, because, again, the pride aspect that you mentioned, would he really go back and do that? Then I feel if they were to end up back on the same roster, then at least you go as a 1A, 1B type backfield, even if you did promise a lot to Madison. You explain to him, hey, we've got Dalvin back. We know what Dalvin's capable of, even as he's about to turn 28. It's at the very least an equal timeshare.
Yeah, I've put out this scenario to folks that I get the feeling that they're just dying to bring the Dolphins offer up a little bit so they can take it already. Because here's what I'm imagining: the Dolphins are somewhere in the 4.5 to 5 range. The Jets are in the 5.5 to 6 range. And then Minnesota's at 7. So they're trying to bring up the Dolphin offer closer to the Jets. They know they're not going to get the Minnesota offer, so they can take it. I almost feel like Chris Grier knows what's out there, and he knows how badly the guy wants to play for Miami. So he has stayed strong and kind of kept it at a reasonable number for them, low for Dalvin. But I kind of get that feeling that all they're trying to do is raise the Dolphin offer just a little bit because this is where they want to sign in the first place.
Right. And those are probably valid theories on those figures. And you know what else Chris Grier and Brandon Shore are doing? They are running the calculations on what the true net pay is when you consider the state income tax difference. As any organization does, an employee is looking into a potential job offer that is in another state that has greater income taxes. So maybe they don't come back and match that full amount that you're being offered, but they take that into consideration. So that then you go into the process saying, oh, well, is it really worth it when, going where I don't prefer it as much with this difference in pay when in reality, the taxes make almost the equivalent. So I
get this feeling that Chris Grier is held back just a little bit. So that way, towards the end, when they kind of sit down, they give him a little incentives, team incentives type thing. So and then the agent will say, well, the Dolphins were really good. They gave us a little bit more in incentives, and the agent will try to sell it like I was able to fight for a little bit more money and this and that kind of stuff. I just this thing looks so it just like I told you last week. These guys don't know how to play poker, bro. They just don't know how to play poker. They did not sell this thing right, unfortunately. Yeah. They gave it away right from the get-go, and I think the Dolphins read it and said, "Yeah, we could get much better here with less money, with no problem right now by doing it this way." So, what's your gut tell you? Does he sign next week here? Does he sign?
And to that point, classic negotiation tactic. Then you're never going to start with the real offer. If you have a figure in your head, then start lowballing a little bit. Work. The other side has another figure in mind. You work your way to the middle somewhere and figure that out. So my prediction, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say that within a week, we do find out that Dalvin Cook has decided. I think he has shown that Miami is truly where he wants to be. I think the chips he's been playing poker face with the cards face up. His hand has been shown. This is where he wants to be, and it's basically just some bluffs here and there, and some of it with some truth to it. But as far as just how desirable the other locations are, then that's not really what he's feeling, and what he wants to do is come to Miami, and they're just trying to get that little bit more. And then maybe the Dolphins budge somewhat, but nothing substantial that really moves the needle on threatening their situation under the salary cap. And then obviously considering how much they want to be able to roll over in years to come when there are greater financial restraints for the organization.
All right, what do you got going on the Sun Sentinel so folks can check you out, my friend?
Yeah, well, now within a week of training camp starting, then our countdown to camp series is in full effect here. So 10 days out, 10 storylines, one a day between myself and Chris Perkins. So we've already come out with 3 of them. We got stories on differences for Mike McDaniel that Perk wrote, what he can improve on going into year 2. I wrote about Vic Fangio's defense, how it can be different from Josh Boyer and Brian Flores of years past, and then what would constitute a successful season for Tua Tagovailoa, something we addressed here, maybe slightly inspired by our conversation here as well. So definitely that was what we chose to cover with Tua Tagovailoa going into his critical 4th season here.
Follow him on Twitter at David Furones _. And, of course, please subscribe to the Sun Sentinel and support our local journalists who do an excellent job. David, as always, thank you, my brother. We will catch up later in the week.
Thank you, Big O.
You got it. There you go. David Furones and our EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report. And Eric is great people. I've known Eric for years, proud sponsor of our show on many different platforms. Call him. This is his personal cell number if you live in Dade and Broward counties, 305-433-4843. They use Shell Construction in-house. That's how they keep the costs down low, folks. They've got a AAA rating from the Better Business Bureau. And we're not talking about a handyman. We're talking about custom home construction and major home remodeling. So if you need a new roof, you got to build an efficiency, whatever it is, you need to modernize that kitchen. We had a listener that unfortunately had a fire in their home. They had to remediate and gut everything out to, rebuild it back inside again. They were able to do that. Call Eric this is his personal cell number. So you're calling the owner's personal cell, Dade or Broward counties, 305-433-4843.
You've been listening to the EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report with Sports Illustrated's Alan Poupart. For additions, home remodeling, and custom work, call Eric at 305-433-4843. EJDconstruction.com is your custom home builder and general contractor you can trust. 305-433-4843.
Right. And again, at the top of the hour in 11 minutes, we are expected to be joined by Rob Ford and Christopher Dillon. They are the directors of Goliath, the Wilt Chamberlain documentary, which I watched over the weekend, and it was awesome. Awesome. I mean, fantastic. You will learn things about Wilt Chamberlain that you never knew. You will understand the man a lot more and maybe understand how he was misunderstood. And it kind of goes, the Wilt Chamberlain thing at times, there are moments where we can turn it and use it for other players and say sometimes the criticism of Marino because he didn't win one was very harsh, or criticism of Jim Kelly because he didn't win one. Hell, the criticism is bigger for Jim Kelly because he was in 4 Super Bowls, right? But are you blaming him for Scott Norwide? I mean, I can't. He did everything to put himself in position to win. The field goal kicker didn't finish it off. You know what I mean? So it's funny because we get into the conversations with Tua, and sometimes I've heard some of you fools out there say, oh, well, you guys, Tua needs a perfect team. Well, quarterbacks need a really good team in order to win. Pat Mahomes one year did not have an offensive line, and he ended up on his ass. Thoroughly embarrassed in that game by Tampa, right? Was it? It was Tampa, I think, that beat the shit out of him. Is it his fault? No. But, that's kind of... John Elway was a choker. That's John Elway. Oh, he's a choker. Washington, Dallas, this, that. He didn't have the team. And then finally they gave him a defense and one of the great running backs, and, oh, my God, he wins back-to-back national Super Bowl champions. It's everybody needs a team. You just can't do it by yourself. And so Wilt, because you're so strong and powerful and, it's assumed that you can carry it by yourself. And it's just not that easy. You wish it could be that easy, but it's just not. So it's interesting that when you do watch the Wilt Chamberlain documentary, you'll be able to kind of spin some of that to what goes on in the modern day today. Because you'll have people that assume that the one person can win it all, when no, that's just not the case. You're going to need some people to help you out. But if you have not seen Goliath, watch it, man. It is freaking awesome. You will thank me, okay? And for those of you that don't know anything about Wilt Chamberlain, you'll get a great education. And those of you that know about Wilt Chamberlain, you will learn a couple of things, or 2 or 3 or 4 in the 3-part series. Excellent, excellent work, man. Let's see. Big O, I was wrong. I'm the one who admits when they're wrong. The person that got hit was Bruce Blakeman. That's it. The executive of Nassau County, New York. Exactly. And he wasn't in the middle of a balloon fight. You could tell he was actually an executive doing his job, and then he gets whacked by the little girl. Yes, that's it. I knew it, but I had to go find it, and I just didn't feel like finding it. But I knew it wasn't Pence. Again, doesn't matter to me if it was Pence or if it was Trump or if it was Blakeman or if it was you or me or whatever. If you're somebody that's campaigning there and you're a city official, that's just classless by that little girl. And I could tell that, listen, man, there's so many wrong people having kids nowadays. So that's why I see kids that they're acting like disasters because they got no parents or they have shitty parents. You know, too many people are having kids and they shouldn't be breeding. That's the problem. And the parents from that child are dog crap, because if I did that, the ass kicking that I would get, I'd be so terrified of my parents. There's no respect, dude. There's no respect. Anyway, Thurman should have been Super 25 MVP. Bills defense could not tackle Mark Ingram on 3rd and 13. Scott wide right Norwood. That's right. Well, you got to call him Nor wide is what it is. It was a Rams when Mahomes didn't have his starting right and left tackle. Yep, exactly. Well, he didn't have – the line sucked. It wasn't just the tackles. That line sucked. And he got his ass handed to him in that Super Bowl. And that's Pat Mahomes, best quarterback in the NFL. And he couldn't do anything that day because, well, bro, if you don't get people to block for you. But it's, for Tua, of course, no, he doesn't need anybody to block for him. That's not important for Tua. It's only important for Pat Mahomes, but not for Tua. Of course not. Yeah. So, what can I tell you, folks? What can I tell you? Bitcoin over 30,000, holding strong. What else? Oh, let me see. We got any? Remember, you can make a donation through Cash App or Venmo at Cash Big O Show. Let me check to see. Cash Big O Show. Nothing. Okay. Just want to make sure. We got that going on. What else do we have to talk about? Wait a minute. I got 5 minutes left.
Hey, yo.
Yes, sir.
All right. Mahomes in Super Bowls. He
Yes.
beat the 49ers.
Right.
And he beat the Eagles. He lost to the Buccaneers.
Right. The Bucks. I said the Bucks kicked their ass.
I saw somebody say Rams or something on there.
Oh, I don't know about somebody on the chat board, but I said it was the Bucks. I said, was the Bucks that they lost to? So, no, I remember, bro. I mean, they kicked their ass, dude.
31-9.
Yeah, dude, they were all over Mahomes. They could not block for him whatsoever. It was terrible. 7:45 tonight, Jesus Lusardo, 8-5, 3.29 ERA. Miles Mikolas for the Cardinals, 5-5 and a 4.12 ERA. So Tyreek Hill says he's going to have 2,000 yards, and the Dolphins are going to win the Super Bowl. Boy, you need some clicks for that podcast, huh? I hope that Tyreek breaks 2,000 yards. It'll be fun to watch it, right? But can we come to reality now? Ladies and gentlemen, gather around for reality here, okay? Because, that's what we do here. We tell you about reality, We told you, the Damian Lillard thing, that'll happen before Cook. No, it won't, bro. That thing's going to drag on till late August, early September, right? We told you, hey, they're not going to trade for Dalvin Cook, and they're not going to give him any big money, right? Okay. Well, let me just tell you, there ain't going to be no 2,000 yards for Tyreek Hill. And this is nothing negative. I just want to kind of enlighten folks because, it's nice to throw out shiny little objects and you're busy with it and all that. Okay. So they're improving their offensive line. They're trying to improve their running game. They added A-Chain. They're going to add Cook soon. The head coach talked about how he wasn't dedicated enough to the run. Okay. Waddle will be getting into his second season on the team. He's trying to develop an offline tight end with getting Higgy with it. And of course, the Cam kid from last year, right? What's the kid's name? Cameron something, or what's his name again?
Tanner Connor. Okay. So they've got 3 blocking tight ends who can pass catch. They got 2 more. There's more dedication to the run, and Tyreek's going to catch 2,000 yards. That doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? So balance is actually more important for the Dolphins this year. But I mean, it's great show. It's great for you guys to go off and running and talking about it, have some fun with it, and Tyreek to have some fun with it. But I kind of get the feeling that, Braxton Berrios will be a bigger part of your third down packages and those kind of things. You know what I'm saying? It's just there's a lot of elements involved that just tell me that you're going to have maybe less yards than you did last year. That's all I'm saying. All right. Give me a minute here. When we come back, I told you about Goliath. The series was amazing, a 3-part series on Wilt Chamberlain. Even if you know a lot about Wilt Chamberlain or something about Wilt Chamberlain, you're going to learn even more. If you know nothing about Wilt Chamberlain, you're going to learn just an entire encyclopedia. Emotionally, it will tug at you. You will get to know the real person, because I gotta admit, the third episode, that was a tearjerker for me, dude. That was a tearjerker, and I thought Rob Ford and Christopher Dillon did an awesome job of putting it together. These gentlemen are going to join us next to start off hour number 3 on the Big O Radio Show.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
Statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyAccess.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
All right. As promised, we told you that we're going to bring on the directors of Goliath. And I watched it last night. I watched all 3 episodes. It was awesome. Documentary on Wilt Chamberlain. Rob Ford and Christopher Dillon are kind enough to join us. There's Mr. Dillon now. Good afternoon, Mr. Dillon. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Can you hear me all right?
Oh, we hear you perfectly. And by the way, you can follow him at Chris_K_Dillon K. And then let's see. Do we are awaiting. We're awaiting your second half here. See if Rob, pops in. Yeah. I think Martin, you can't be on, brother. You're not gonna allow Rob to get on. We got to knock Martin out. Martin's gonna have to watch on YouTube. Martin, you need to watch on YouTube. You got to drop off so Rob can get in there. But anyway, Chris, I want you to know what an awesome job you guys did. And brother, you know, maybe because I'm 56 now and I'm getting more emotional as I get older, but brother, you had me bawling at the end. Now, I don't want to give everything away, but you had me bawling at the end. I just want you to know if that was your intentions.
Yeah, well, our intention was to make ourselves bawl at the end. You know, when you make these things, you're the first audience. So yeah, I mean, absolutely, that's how it made us feel. You know, when we learned that and we realized what was actually going on with him. And obviously, we don't want to give too much away, but it has to do with one of the big themes of this piece is the way that the public perception of Wilt made him feel and how far it was from the person that he, wanted to be and who he believed that he was, and that a lot of the people close to him, thought that he was. And when we thought about that for the ending, we're like, that has to be it. And yeah.
Again, I don't want to give away the stuff, but what you talked about, how where it ends, where it started, where he was young, and how it ended. It just that how you brought it to a bow. It was just one of those things. And then the other thing that as we get to know, and I guess a nugget I have to give out, because we're so used to talking about, Wilt Chamberlain, 20,000 women and sex and all that stuff. And he was the opposite of that as a human being, actually. Yeah, while he enjoyed a bachelor life that anybody that was a bachelor, I'm sure, would enjoy the same kind of life. But at the same time, he gave back so much. And as I'll give it away, Jackie Joyner Kersee was, one of the reasons why she became the household name that we all got to know. Well, this is one of the men that helped, find and develop her, part of his, track team that he sponsored and all of that, and how he gave back to women's sports, how he gave back to human beings, how he gave back to his family members, how he gave back to his friends. I mean, all these kind of things, it just kind of, you guys did a marvelous job of showing more the human being instead of us just looking at the athlete and the sex conga line.
That is exactly what we were trying to do. There's some of these sports documentaries, they're exercises in kind of myth making and sort of building up the mythology around an athlete. And we wanted to do the exact opposite with this. We wanted to, because Wilt's myth is so well known, especially for people who know basketball. If you don't know basketball, then you know the 20,000 women and like the celebrity who was in the movie with Arnold and all that stuff. But we wanted to take what we thought we knew about Wilt and then show you that. And there are times where the myth is true, where things that we think about Wilt are accurate, but that also doesn't mean that there aren't things about him that are contradictory, and that are complex. And so I would say in terms of the women, absolutely, he dated a lot of women and he was, a sort of self-described womanizer, but at the same time, that wasn't all he was with women and toward women. There was quite a bit more. And that was the part that, we were happy to reveal. And also in terms of the basketball, for the sports fans out there, like if you think Wilt's career and who he was and that he was this selfish, unrepentant gunner and all of these things, I think you're going to be really surprised when you see how the games actually played out compared to what you may have been told happened by the stories that get handed down over generations. Like Havlicek steals the ball. I thought I knew what happened in that game. you know, and I was wrong. And your tease about the end and the beginning, I will let people know, at least in terms of the beginning, if you are a sports fan, you will get to see the triple overtime college championship game for the first time in any documentary, where Will's Kansas goes against UNC, and it was the most famous college basketball game for at least the first 75 years of college basketball.
Yeah, I mean, again, just the things that you learn. By the way, whose idea was it to use the? I don't know what they're not cartoons, they're not figures, they're shadow. They're
shadow. They are live theatrical shadow puppets. Those are being performed by people, and that I will give a lot of credit to my partner Rob, because we were trying to solve for. You know, there's all these intimate stories that we have about him for which there literally is no footage or photographs. Stories from childhood, stories from things that happened between he and teammates, personal interactions that are, you know, in the locker room, like things that there just is no imagery for. And we had to use those stories. They were the reason to do this. But at the same time, what are we going to show? So I had brought up the idea of animation to Rob, and he said, oh, what about this? And this company, Manual Cinema, and what they did was very beautiful and you know, very unique. And also, I think it spoke to the fact that, like, we're telling a story about Will. A lot of this is about stories that were told about him, stories that he told, and we are now telling a story about him. And we wanted to acknowledge, like, look, this is subjective. You know, we're not claiming that we have, like, this is the definitive absolute truth. These are just more stories about Will for more people, including himself, which was what he really wanted. You know, in his life, he wanted a documentary where he could communicate who he thought he was, and then he passed away before it could happen.
Yeah, I mean, you know, again, not to give it away, but the images, like the one where you did with in the classroom, where he's, you know, so much bigger, and then also when he was sent back to kind of a remedial class and all that, it's just what you're describing. They did a marvelous job of also sending the same message with the imaging, and I thought that was genius too, you know, at the same time. And I didn't realize he played 17 years with the Globetrotters. I knew he played with the Globetrotters. I didn't know it was 17 freaking years. And the way he, you know, back in those days, you know, again, you guys will see when you watch the documentary, how he was so ahead of his time on the business end. We just watched the Nike one, and we just realized that Mama Jordan was actually the better business person, not Michael. Actually, I'm almost, you know, I got to tell you, I'm at a point, Chris, that if Mama Jordan ran the Hornets, I think they might have won more. Okay, you know what I'm saying?
I'm a Blazer fan, so like that makes, when you're talking about the Hornets right now, I'm like smiling really big because I'm so happy.
Yeah, because it's not like she knew what her son was. You know, when you watch the movie.
And Wilt, I just talked about this the other day because of that movie Air, ending on the Jordans understanding their value in this, and that they have power, and they deserve to be cut in. And Wilt, you know, you're giving some things away, but it's so worth watching. The fact that Wilt, in the mid-1960s, understood that he had the value, that he deserved to be and he was promised partial ownership of the Sixers. And you know, when that didn't happen, you know, he was like, okay, well, I know that I actually bring things to bear here that matter, and that, you know, that have power, and you're going to respect that power. And everyone, Kevin Garnett, who's an executive producer for this, says it in the piece. He's like, there is no Magic, there's no Michael, there's no me, there's none of us without Wilt, because from a business standpoint and from a popularity standpoint, he took a league that was shrinking when he joined it. By the time he ended, it was on firm financial footing, had a national television contract, and he was the highest paid player in all of athletics, not just basketball, which was by far like third of the big three at that time.
It was in the documentary that said it, and it was a great point, that by the time Michael got into the league, the league was already on great footing because of Magic and Bird. When Wilt was trying to elevate it, it was dirt poor, dude. It was nowhere to be found. I mean,
it was disappearing. Like half the teams in the league had gone away. So the trend line was that this is not a league that's going to. There had been pro leagues before that had failed. So, Wilt is, I mean, the GOAT debate is an interesting one to have. And you can talk about it from so many angles, highest peak versus greatest career versus all these things. But I think Gary Pomerantz says it in the piece. I think it's indisputable that the most important basketball player in the history of professional basketball is Wilt Chamberlain, because without him, it wouldn't exist in the form that we currently have it. Yeah. And he smashed racial barriers without just through his greatness. Like, it's so funny. We were talking about this because in the piece you learn that he was recruited by colleges in the South. This is in the mid-50s during Jim Crow. And he made, just his sheer greatness, he made racists have to reckon between their racism and their greed won. They're like, he's so good.
Wait till you see the documentary and what he did to Kansas, folks.
Yes.
By his lonesome. Wait till you see the documentary and what he did to Kansas in the 60s. Okay? Yeah. All right. Black men don't do that in the 60s. Only Wilt Chamberlain did that. That alone, I don't even want to give it away, but that alone in itself was a hell of an accomplishment by Wilt Chamberlain. You know what I mean? That's the kind of impact that man had. I thought, Chris, you guys did just a marvelous job. It's one of those that I get to watch over and over again now, because I'm going to want to watch it a second, a third, a fourth time, because I'm going to want to catch little things that I might have missed, and to me, that was the beauty of it. You had so many nuggets in there, so many things that I didn't know about Wilt Chamberlain. I didn't know the impact he had, how he affected certain things. It's just, it was really, really marvelous.
3 hours is not
give me something that didn't make the documentary, because
there's
always ends up on the floor.
Oh, for sure. I mean, honestly, we could have made a documentary that was twice as long as this, but you make these things within like the parameters you have. And so, the conquistadors, he became a coach in the ABA. When he left the NBA, he jumped over to the ABA, made a ton of money, and he's flying up to San Diego or sometimes helicopter, and flying up to San Diego from LA to coach the team. He just walks in sandals, sometimes no shoes, and just shows up at game time, coaches the team, and then leaves, and then jumps from that to founding, because he's in a volleyball Hall of Fame, and because he was a solid player. I mean, his size and everything made him incredible at the net. But, he's not an all-time great volleyball player, but what he was the guy who elevated volleyball into the public consciousness because of his celebrity. He was the co-founder of a professional volleyball league that he played in, and was the the David Stern of that. So, I mean, that's just fun stuff, but there's so many personal stories. It's just, when you hear one that's similar and really great, you don't have time to tell 3 or 4 more in something that's this short, and I say it's 3 hours and I say it's this short, but this guy lived a life that is so fantastical. I mean, it's epic. If I were to say, like, okay, this guy is arguably the greatest athlete, and if you watch episode 1, you'll see what I mean about his athleticism might still not be rivaled as a young man. Now, we know him from images of him in the 70s after he's older and been injured, but as a young guy, we have a few glimpses of it. And then the stories, if he's just that, or if he's a guy who came and shattered all these records, or if he's a guy who shattered racial barriers because people just wanted to have him, or he was a guy who changed how business worked in athletics forever, which he did. Each one of those guys is worthy of a documentary. To take all of them and then have him be a guy who's also a celebrity who dates tons of women and he's with Arnold is like, there's nobody like that,
Who owns his house now?
I don't. It was bought by a writer from The Simpsons after he passed, and then they had it for a long time, and then I think they just sold it. I'm not sure who now owns his home. The Darth Vader helmet, as Gary Pomerantz calls it. That clip from Wide World of Sports with Jim McKay, where it's just about his house in the 70s, is, when I found that online, I was like, this is priceless. I mean, come on.
Yeah. And I would imagine that house never will go out of style, because the way it looks, it's just completely different. So the architecture was just absolutely awesome. And by the way, the other thing, Tua is a really hot button topic down in South Florida here, and with the Dolphin Nation worldwide. And it happens a lot on this show and all that. And it's funny because, like, we like last year, and I, we would explain to people, or in the last 2 years when he's running for his life, I said, he needs help. And so sometimes people come at me and say, oh, so what? Tua can only win if it's a perfect team. And I go, no, it's just every athlete needs help. Dan Marino was a great quarterback and never won a championship because you never gave him a defense and a running game. Just like John Elway was a choker, like Wilt Chamberlain was for many years because he didn't have the team. And then you gave him the defense and you gave him Terrell Davis and he won. And it's funny, right now, the best quarterback's in Kansas City. Okay, great. A couple of years ago when he went up against Tampa, he didn't have an offensive line and Pat Mahomes got killed and he couldn't win. And I'm glad that, 50 years ago, I think that's where it started. I think Wilt Chamberlain was the first athlete. He said, why aren't you winning? You're so dominant. You're all but no, but he's by himself and you still can't do it by yourself. And Wilt might have been the test tube baby that we in sport.
Not even a question. Right. Not even a question, because it was how they grew the league. And we get in episode 2, we get into this quite a bit. The narrative that was used to sell the league was to take a team sport and boil it down to 2 individuals, because that's just easier to tell in a story. And you can attribute qualities to those guys. Like Russell's the selfless team player. I love Bill Russell. I will never say anything negative about Bill Russell. I think he's a genius as a player. But the story that was told is that he's the selfless team player and Wilt is the selfish scorer. And that was the David and Goliath, where the title comes from, was born in people's minds, and it was effective. And so that became the way that all athletics, all team sports now get sold through the Stars, which is why the Stars, make so much money, because they are also the chief marketing tools for the league. And that's what happened to Wilt. It was interesting for us and for me to be able to show some of these iconic games for which he was called a choker and let you watch the game and see for yourself if you think he choked. Because the story was told that he did. And that distance between what I saw and the narrative that I had grown up hearing was fascinating for me, and why we wanted to get into exploring this. So why can the story be wrong? How be wrong? And I would also say that, like, Wilt is our basketball expert is a guy named Ben Taylor. He has a Thinking Basketball podcast and a YouTube channel, and wrote the Thinking Basketball book. And he talks about Wilt as being the most instructive player in NBA history, because there'd never been a Wilt before a Wilt. There'd never been a guy who could score against anyone, and you had to double or triple him, because there was no chance that you could slow him down. He was so physically gifted and so skilled that you had to throw double teams at him. His early coaches, really didn't coach him well. They said you should shoot it all the time. And then over time, they started to realize, like, he has gravity and people should move off the ball. And he became more of a passer. And then suddenly he's winning championships. And then end of his career, when he's diminished, they're like, what you should do is really open up space for your teammates just with your screen setting and you're rolling. And Jerry West and Gail Goodrich are there to benefit and have the 33-game win streak. And Wilt's the MVP of the finals that year. It's not that he wasn't like, a supporting player in that. He was key, just like Russell had been key to the success of the Celtics offense with his screen setting and rolling and like dribble handoffs, all the stuff that Jokic is doing, Right. Wilt did all of that. And if Wilt had come around, just like Dan Marino, if Dan Marino had come around a little bit later in the passing era, where it's like, we understand now that if we spread out, we've got multiple receivers, it's really impossible to defend. And if we have a quarterback who can make quick decisions and is accurate, it's better than a running game. Exactly. If he comes around later, Marino's winning titles. If Wilt comes around after Wilt with the coaching that would understand how to best utilize him, I think his career plays out differently. But, there's only a handful of guys who, when they showed up in the league and in the NBA, their team was in the mix for the title from the moment they got there, basically to the moment they left. And it's Russell, it's Wilt, it's Magic, it's Bird. And it's not Michael and it's not LeBron. There's other guys who may have peaked higher, but they didn't have that impact, where it's like, and so when people diminish Wilt as a winner, I just think you're being a little bit, you're playing the results,
I'm with you. I'm with you. The name is Goliath. It is the documentary of Wilt Chamberlain. You can catch it on Showtime. It is phenomenal. It is 3 parts. Christopher Dillon, the director, is joining us. I'll wrap it up with this. And I'll tell you, Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain remind me of Michael Jordan. And I'll say it like this. When Michael stepped into the league, he was a scoring machine. But then when Phil Jackson stepped in, he taught him how to be more of a team player and use the people around him. And he helped Scottie and others grow, and his team became better, obviously with talent, the scheme, but he also became a better team player, a passer, where John Paxson and Steve Kerr are hitting, game-winning shots, not Michael Jordan. The beauty of Bill Russell was he understood who he was from the get-go. He knew he wasn't a scoring machine, so he had to convert himself into a great player in other ways, and that's how he became a great player. Wilt didn't have that guy until he got to Philadelphia. Was it Hanneman or Hannon or
Alex Hannum? Yeah.
Until Alex actually stood up to him and explained to him, and then he started to become more of a team player. And I think that that's what happens in today's game. 20 years ago, 50 years ago, there are some guys that immediately get what they have to do and how to become like a Tim Duncan. And then there are other guys that have to kind of evolve and figure out how I have to play this game. And I think that Wilt didn't have that guidance like he probably needed early on. Bill Russell, he didn't need it. He understood himself. So did Tim Duncan. Those kind of guys kind of knew who they were already from the get-go, so they were able to play comfortably in their shoes. But again, like we were talking about how, the Tua thing or Mahomes with Wilt Chamberlain, the same thing here, overall, that a lot of the stuff, it's a cycle, man. And it's a vicious cycle.
Jackie McMullen says it, I think really well. She says that like Russell never had the burden of being the guy who everyone expected to score, so that allowed him to be this other type of facilitator on offense, creating space for his teammates. And we know there'd never been a Wilt before Wilt. So, he was actually coached the opposite way. Frank McGuire was the reason for the 50-point per game season was not that Wilt just was like, bringing the ball up himself. He's a big man. They had to feed him the ball. It was designed to give Wilt 40 plus touches a game, with the idea being you should shoot it because you're the most efficient one-on-one player that's ever played, and not understanding that there's a better way to be efficient as. And also had the good to land with the Celtics with all those Hall of Famers, but also with Red Auerbach, and you'll, as you see in the piece, it was almost Wilt. Auerbach wanted Wilt, and in his way, who knows if we'd even know who Bill, because he wouldn't have played for St. Louis. So Russ just given up basketball. I mean, that's how, like, when we look at these narratives, once they're over, as if they had to be that way. And there's so much randomness, good and bad, that comes into everyone's story. It's really about how hard did you try, and great were your gifts. And I would make the case there has never been a player of Wilt's caliber who continued to evolve throughout his career and was willing to change. When coaches asked him to score a ton, he did. When they asked him to be a facilitator, he did. When they asked him to play defense and start the fast break, he did. Each time he did it, they won. And I don't know there's a guy like that.
No, I don't know if I've seen anybody like that. I mean, he's kind of like the Jim Brown. He's the Derrick Henry now. He's just a different kind of freak. The Shaqs, these kind of guys. And Wilt was he was a deer. He was a kangaroo. He was every athletic animal you can think of, on top of being just a big guy. He was a freak of an athlete. Like, Shaq could never move like this guy could move. No. Could never run like this guy.
It's honestly much. It's more like if you took LeBron and made him 7'1". That's what young Wilt is more like. Because Jerry West says to me when I interviewed him, it's in the piece, Wilt was the fastest player in the league, not the fastest big man. For the 7'1", 300-pound guy to be the fastest guy in the league and a world-class high jumper, honestly, if you came out now, 19-year-old Wilt Chamberlain came out now, the world would stop. It would just be like, what do we do with this guy? Like, we never seen a guy like this. For him to be one of the first, and that we have such little footage, but the footage we did find, I think really shows you like how high he could sky and how fast he was on the court, and the stories of his strength, including from Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Billy Cunningham story. And then there's one about where he lifted the back of a car. So somebody could change the tire.
Yeah, change the tire. Yeah, that was great. That was great. Chris, thank you for taking the time. Thank you for creating this, because obviously this is a story that needed to be told. And that's the other thing that you get from a lot of the people that are part of this series and talking about it. They wanted to also get it off their chest because they were also there, fighting for Wilt. So it was a great story. And thank you for educating me as a sports fan on things I didn't know about Wilt. So I really appreciate it. And again, Showtime, go check it out. Goliath. It's a 3-part series. It'll go by like this. Okay.
And it's
like
on Paramount Plus right now. So if anybody has Paramount Plus, you can watch the whole thing right now.
Right. YouTube also. You can find it on YouTube probably. So go check it out and enjoy it. Chris, thank you. I really appreciate it immensely. Thank you, sir. There you go. Christopher Dillon. Folks, follow him on Twitter at Chris_K_Dillon. Great job there. And just a magnificent documentary. By the way, check it out. We're going to take a quick break. Give me 2 minutes. Back with more right here on the Big O Radio Show.
When you move, you need a reliable company led by passionate folks, eager to assist its customers during a transitional process that needs to be smooth. Call Essential Moving Experts at 844-368-5750 for all your local and long-distance moving needs. You can rely on Essential Moving Experts. Mention the Big O Show and get $150 off. Family owned and operated, they offer free 30-day storage, full-service moving, fully licensed, bonded, and insured. Moving was never so easy. EssentialMovingExperts.com. With more than 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes, Welton Rayom is committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. They handle complex personal injury claims caused by the fault of another in both state and federal courts. They handle auto, trucking, motorcycle, slip and fall, and bicycle accidents. Call 954-966-4646. That's 954-966-4646. Welton Rayom can help.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zins Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zins Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. When it comes to South Florida sports teams, very few in the media have witnessed, lived, and covered it like the Big O. Let's start the program dedicated to your favorite South Florida teams with a passion that's unmatched. The Big O Radio Show is on. Here's the Big O.
Continue hour number 3, folks, and we got a terrific event coming on. The Youth Fair Day is coming at Lone Depot Park on Sunday, July 30th. at 1:40 p.m. to benefit the Miami-Dade County Fair Foundation. And my man, Eddie Cora, is here to join me. Eddie, how you feeling, baby? You feeling good? Oh, wait a minute. We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Let us put some boom in it. Let's see. Do we have Eddie now? Do we have the legend, the myth, the legend that is Eddie Cora? Is he ready to go? He's searching for the unmute. There we go.
You hear me?
Now we go. There we are.
You know, every time somebody gives me a new thing to log into, they change my settings on my computer.
Or no, sometimes this thing will screw with your settings and they'll just change it for the hell of it. And so it's not just, I don't think it's you, dude. This has happened before with other people. Every once in a while, it'll kind of do it. So I don't think it's an Eddie Cora thing. I think it's a StreamYard thing, actually.
Cool. Okay, I feel better about myself now. Thank you.
Yeah. Feel better about yourself. StreamYard kind of screws people up. Sometimes I get on in the morning. I say, hey, can you guys hear me? So everybody go, oh yeah, thumbs up, we're good. Because sometimes I'll just start talking, and then hey, we don't hear you, and I'm like, oh man,
it's kind of like being at home. It's like being at home with our wives, where you're talking, but nobody's listening.
Nah, that's right. There's definitely nobody listening at home. That's for damn sure.
Can you tell my wife is working right now so she can't hear this?
Yeah. So we got a lot of excitement in town. Messi's in town. We got the Dolphins right around the corner. Cristobal's getting ready for his second season. Marlins are in a wild card spot. The Heat and the Panthers made the finals. So now you've got Youth Fair Day at Lone Depot Park. That's pretty cool, man. I'm looking forward to that.
This is going to be pretty cool. It's going to be great. I mean, great year to do this with the Marlins. When they reached out with the idea of this, the second best, third best record in the National League, who would have thunk that?
Nobody.
I mean, they got talent, but who would have thought that?
Yeah, no, I never would have thought that, bro. Not even close.
I got to hand it to Schumacher. He's brought a different culture. He's brought a different mindset. Not that I appreciated Mattingly for all the time he spent here and what he did to help build the farm system and bring these kids up. But Schumacher is really taking it to a different level. It's amazing.
They're responding to him big time.
Yeah, I think they are. I think they're realizing this is our guy.
Yeah, yep. And Sandy hasn't been special yet. He's kind of pitched better lately. He had a good outing on Saturday night, I think it was. But he hasn't been Sandy yet. And look where they're at. So imagine, and now with Yuri being shut down because he reached his innings limit, Sandy really has to turn it back on and become that ace again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so,
but then you look at the guys that
ace again. That's scary stuff too if they play the way they've played.
Look at the other guys, the guys like Luzardo and Garrett, who have. I mean, they've gone from oh my God, what's going to happen today to I feel pretty good sitting down and watching the game with those guys pitching. That they're good. At least they have control of the game. They have control of their pitches. They know what they do well. They don't get beat on their second best pitch. And that's what you want out of a premier frontline starter. Yeah. Sandy's going to come around.
They have one of the better rotations in the National League, man.
Absolutely. I think, and what you're getting in the field, Soler bouncing back this year from last year to the numbers he's putting up. I heard them say something yesterday as a DH, he's hitting something like 250, 260, but as a starter, he's hitting over 300. And I didn't see that last year. Something changed. But when they reached out to try to do a fundraiser at the game, first of all, I was like, really cool. I love baseball. I'm a huge baseball fan. But we looked at it and said, this is perfect. It's really two markets that are very similar. Both markets, we both serve the same community. We're middle class, family oriented organizations, affordable entertainment, and now with the pitch clock, affordable on time too.
Yeah. That's got better. That has. I mean, I love baseball, so it doesn't matter to me that I kind of understood why you walked off the mound or you reset yourself. Maybe not as much as Nomar Garciaparra or Terry Pendleton, but I kind of understood the game in its sense. But you know what? People don't have patience nowadays. You have to adjust, and I commend baseball for doing that because people have, the attention span nowadays is.
Well, I look at it from a player standpoint. If I've got to step out for 30 seconds every time to understand what the pitcher's doing to me, I got to ask the player, are you really doing your homework to understand what they're trying to do to you? Or, literally, do you have to go get the cliff notes after every pitch? And I think what it's done, it's made a lot of players better. It's made pitchers better because they have to have a sequence. They have to understand, we grew up with pitchers that they would throw stuff just to set you up.
Right.
They would literally put it in the dirt. They would throw – those are just setting you up. But those are guys that had the plan in their head. I think we got over the years to a point where you had so much time in between to think and figure it out, and you didn't really have to be a tactician. Now these guys are becoming tacticians again, and it's making the game enjoyable. So that's why doing a fundraiser and asking somebody to give 2.5 hours of their day instead of 4 hours of their day really is a lot more attractive. And then you got the second or third best team, depending on what day, second or third best team in the National League that you're going to go see. And what's even awesome, this is possibly going to be Miguel Cabrera's last professional baseball game in Miami. This is a guy who came up. Remember Miggy? Oh, I know you know this. Him getting brushed back by Clemens and then turning around and 2 pitches later hitting it over. And opposite field in that ballpark.
Okay. Opposite field.
At the original ballpark, which was a cavern.
19-year-olds are not supposed to do that shit.
19-year-olds are not supposed to get brushed back with a high fastball by Clemens, stand back up and stare him down.
No.
And then get in and go, okay, throw it again and put it opposite field. He in the right center gap.
Yeah.
And that was we both know, we were both there. That's a big ballpark. He put on his big boy pants. So imagine this guy who is, is it safe to say he's a future Hall of Famer?
Oh, God. It's not.
First ballot?
First ballot. One of the great power hitters because
Triple Crown.
He was not just a power hitter. He wasn't Dave Kingman. He was Dave Kingman, Tony Gwynn mix.
Combined. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A great
absolutely. He is
back control, like the great hitters have had, like Barry Bonds was, like Palmeiro was, like
those guys that just came up, and it's kind of like what we're seeing with Luis Arias right now. Where do you pitch him? He doesn't have a cold zone. He can hit the ball anywhere you throw it.
Yeah, Tony Gwynnish, very Tony Gwynnish.
I remember watching Tony Gwynn take batting practice, and it was just unfair.
Yeah.
Most guys are using a bat. He looks like he was throwing the ball.
Right.
Into the outfield.
Because they know how to hit off balance and they know how to redirect the ball no matter what angle is coming at them. That's it's kind of like the lost art of bunting. It's like not everybody even knows how to bunt nowadays anymore.
Bunt is like a 4-letter word in Major League Baseball now.
Yeah, dude. And obviously, it would be nice if Brett Butler would teach everybody how to bunt. You know what I'm saying? Because that was a weapon that when you were ready to bunt, it didn't matter what angle the ball came at. You knew how to tap it to direct it.
They always say they knew how to catch the ball with the bat.
It's like watching Lou Piniella fall asleep in the dugout and somebody taps him saying, "Hey, Lou, we need a pinch hit. Where do you want it?" Right center field. Okay. You got it. Boom. And it's like that's the kind of shit that just does not exist as much as it used to.
No.
And when you watch Miguel Cabrera, he was one of those dudes that
he could do anything, anywhere.
Right. Anywhere.
Except, he wasn't going first to home on a gapper. Okay.
Right.
There were limitations to his game. But, that Sunday afternoon is going to be awesome. It's to benefit the Fair Foundation. And again, I always say this, for people who don't know, the fair that we all enjoy every year, basically we are a non-for-profit organization. We're a private non-for-profit organization. The fair's our fundraiser, and it helps us, our mission in helping the kids through educational programs, agricultural programs. We're working very hard with 4-H right now to rebuild facilities, to build community gardens, to build master gardening programs with them, after-school programs, summer programs around agriculture. And then all the things we do with the athletics and all the athletic tournaments that we sponsor. This is going to help us, another way to help us raise money to, really keep giving back to those kids. That's important to us.
And by the way, folks, just to give it to you, the fair has partnered with the Miami Marlins for the Youth Fair Day at Lone Depot Park on Sunday, July 30th at 1:40 p.m. to benefit the Miami-Dade County Fair Foundation, which is what Eddie was talking about now. The Miami Marlins have agreed to give back a portion of all tickets purchased through the attached link or QR code to our foundation. You got to send me that QR code so we can put it up.
I thought I did. Shame on me.
Let me see. Hold on a second.
No, it's fine. Guess what?
I've got one. You sent me something, but it's just a Marlins logo, to be quite honest. It's not the QR code. Send it to me because we're going to create a billboard for it, and we're going to start it. I'll have Sean hopefully create it by tomorrow, and we'll start posting it every day for you so people can go to the QR code and to the foundation so they can continue to support many programs and partnerships in the community. Folks, your support of this effort is greatly appreciated. If you can spread the word and the flyer and the link to your groups, we will be able to expand our commitments to our community going forward, which is the website that they can go to so they can see it right away right now for the people that are tuning in.
If you go to our website, www.fairexpo.com,
there you go.
You can see it there. Please make sure to use the link. I know the Marlins want to sell tickets. I would love to help them sell tickets, but if you buy it through their normal app, they won't recognize it as a ticket bought for donation. So please go to fairexpo.com and do it through there or through Big O's show and look at what he's putting up. But these are the things that we can do to help us raise some money and really help the kids of the community. Man, I say it all the time. If there's one thing, and you were here with me during the fair.
Yes.
And you were in the STEAM, you were in the computer, the robotics section and all that stuff.
Yeah, that was actually really cool.
Tell me about the talent that's in this county.
Yeah. That was actually cool to see all the stuff that they were creating and all these robots and all that stuff that they were doing. I thought that was really, really cool because I know
did you see the age of the kids doing it? These weren't. We're not talking postgraduate. We're not talking, kids with their parents next to them, the parents doing the project. No, the parents were off buying a corn dog. And I think we had a couple, but that's okay. When you eat it during the fair, there's no calories, but that's okay. But you watch these kids, I'm talking middle school, high school kids, building and programming robots to compete.
Yeah.
I can't program my alarm clock when the electricity goes out. Okay? So the talent that's in this county, we're always trying to see how we raise money to help these kids. Just give them the opportunity to play some more with these things. So any help we can get, God, with this community, we greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, and by the way, I did find the QR code. So let's we can bring. I think I'm going to be able to bring it up here. Let me see if I can find it now. Sean, I sent it to you. See if you can, because you got way more skills than I do. I don't know. See if you can bring up the QR code for the Marlins, and hopefully we can what's it called? Show the folks, and they can hit the QR code. All right. So this goes all the way through the game, right? So tickets bought through the game, they'll be donating because the Marlins will donate a portion of it, and then they
just have to use the link. Use the link. Use the QR code. Definitely.
Yes, and there it is. Boom.
Boom.
So we got it. We're going to create a billboard and everything for it, Eddie, and we're going to post it every day leading up to the game for folks. And there you go. There's Sean enlarging it. There's your QR code. It's a donation. It goes to a great cause, folks. Eddie, they can write this off, can't they?
Yeah, it is. It actually is going to our foundation. So yeah,
there you go, folks.
You know,
so
I'm not gonna.
Yeah, you're helping a cause, which is.
And by the way, if somebody wants to make an extra donation, they can contact us at info@fairexpo.com, and they can give a donation through their business, personal. We are a 501c3. So we can accept charitable donations, and it is a deduction afterwards, and anything that goes to the foundation goes to the kids.
Right. This is a nonprofit. Nobody's making money here, bro. Okay. This is This is all community work. This is something that is a project that gives back to the kids. So that's what you're doing. And by the way, you're going to go enjoy like a really good baseball game and a pretty good pitcher along the way. And, hopefully Jazz will be back. Hopefully we can get Jazz back. So, all that kind of.
By the way, it's Billy's birthday bash too.
Oh, there you go.
For any parent who has kids, Diamond Dash, they can run the bases after the game. This is a pure family game. This is a family day.
So there you go. Family day, family fun, and for a great cause. Eddie Cora of the Youth Fair, the Miami-Dade County Youth Fair. Eddie, appreciate you, my brother, as always. Thank you for taking some time, and we will do our best every single day to push the cause.
Thank you, bro. Thanks. So love you. Always welcome here. Can't wait to see you again on the grounds.
You got it, baby. Un abrazo. We'll talk later on in the week. Thank you, my man. Be good. There you go. The great Eddie Cora, Miami-Dade County Youth Fair. We'll have that billboard ready for you tomorrow, and hit that QR code and support. Ooh, I can see all my stuff. Where is it back there? There. I'm rearranging everything, by the way. You'll see a completely new. I'm working on it now. So I'm taking everything down because there's too many things that you don't see and you can't see, and so I'm gonna enlarge everything here and kind of show you a different thing. But I've got to reorganize everything. So this is kind of a mission. So I started doing some stuff over the weekend for it. Let's see, what else do we have here? Messi, Miami Tiempo. When is this match where Inter Miami's playing Mexico? Oh, that'll be next week, sir. What else do we have? A good gynecologist has to learn to read lips. Okay. Every time I log on, they change my settings. Yeah, that does happen. Good afternoon, Big O and Sean. Hope you all had a good weekend. I had a great weekend. Relaxed, saw Buck Cherry. It was good. Big O, which movie did you see? I saw Mission Impossible. I saw the new one. I enjoyed it. Yeah. I saw that last week. And then I saw, what was it that I saw recently also? I'd gone to the movies twice in like the last month, which is a lot for me. Oh, that's a lot. Forgot what else that I saw. Do you remember what movie I was bragging about before, Sean? Forgot now. Anyway, one of yous will probably remember. Steph Curry hitting a hole-in-one in the American Century Championship in Lake Tahoe. 7th hole, 152 yards. That was all over social media. When you hand-eye coordination, this is why I always say we excel in goalies. Have you noticed that our goalies have been world-class? Our forwards and everything else, that defenders and all that, we're developing better ones, but we haven't gotten to world-class yet. And why? That's my theory. All American sports are hand-eye coordination. So when you get to soccer, what's the one position that you have to have hand-eye coordination? The goalie. And Steph Curry is a deadly shooter. Hand-eye coordination. I'm not surprised. Tony Romo can throw the ball. Just because he's a choker doesn't mean he's not accurate. Okay? He's accurate as hell. Very good golfer. See? To me, hand-eye coordination is one of those things that helps you, especially with American sports. If you play lots of sports, you will excel at a lot of them that has to do with hand-eye coordination because you're constantly being tested. Whether you're throwing a football, whether you're throwing a baseball or catching it, or catching a football, whether you're shooting a basketball, it all is hand-eye coordination and aim. And to me, when I watch, Seth Curry hit that hole in one, it's like, well, we're talking about a deadly shooter, a guy that's used to arc and in. And so you see him with a golf club, it's the same shit as shooting. It's a way of having the feel of the distance, what's the arc needed in order to get there, and all those kind of things. So when he does it, sure, there's a certain level of luck in a hole in one, but make no mistake, there's also a level of skill that's involved when he's hitting a long putt, which he did in that tournament also, and then at the same time a hole in one. When you've got it, the hand-eye coordination thing, brother, I don't care if I get Steph Curry and say, hey, let's go play darts. That mother is going to be right around the middle of the circle. He's going to be a lot closer than you and me. Why? Because he's already got that, man. Usually golfers, right, can probably swing a bat. Not that they're going to be great baseball players, but they will understand the skill that it takes and the technique that it takes in swinging a bat. Because when you swing a bat and you swing a club, there's a lot of similarities to it. Besides that, you're aiming at a ball. But actually, the way you go about it, just because one is low and one is in the middle, there's still a lot of similarities in the way you go about it. And so to me, hand-eye coordination is one of those things that when I feel sad for, and I get why they do it nowadays, but the kid that just plays baseball and the kid that just plays football and the kid that just plays, basketball, or the kid that just plays soccer, I think you're doing a disservice to that athlete. I think it's a positive for that football player to play baseball. I think it's a positive for that baseball player to play soccer. I think it's positive for the baseball player to play a little golf. My favorite PE teacher, I've told this story many times, is a racist man by the name of Chesno. Okay. But I compartmentalize things, man. It's a word I love to use, and it's what I live by. I knew the guy was a dick. I knew he hated Cubans, especially because he would say it all the time, but he's my favorite PE teacher of all time. Why? Because he taught me track and field, all kinds of different things in track and field, okay, and gymnastics, along with football, along with volleyball, along with baseball, along with soccer, along with volleyball. So when you were done with Chesno, anybody that went to Arbondale in the 70s or 60s and you had Chesno, you know what I'm talking about. You were well-rounded as an athlete because you sharpened all of your skills, no matter what you were doing, and even if you didn't like the high jump, you still did it. If you didn't like the parallel bars or the uneven bars, you still did it. Dude taught you rings and everything. It didn't matter. It was actually like a really, really exceptional way of teaching kids athletics. And he was a terrible person. But he was a great coach. Great coach. I would put up with all his racist remarks again just to get the education I got in all sports. Didn't matter, dude. Didn't matter if you were running singular in track and field or you were running the relay. He taught you everything on how to do it right. It was awesome. And so for me, when I look at Steph Curry, it's just one of those things, man, hand-eye coordination. And it was so cool watching him hit the hole-in-one, running down the whole thing, falling back and lying down on the floor, like amazing and all that. That's great because he's such a likable dude. He's just a great example for all kids. He's so easy to root for. Really cool story. Really cool story. I like it. Mission Impossible was yes, it was very good. 8.5 out of 10. I would go with that. I don't mind giving him an 8.5 or a 9 easily on that. Like I said, if you love the franchise like I do, go watch it. You'll enjoy the hell out of it. Did you see Indy? No, I did not. Everybody's telling me it's bad. And I wouldn't go. After I saw the last one, I would never go again to go see an Indiana Jones film. Never. The last one was freaking terrible, dude. Big O, same reason why hockey players are such good golfers. Exactly. Hockey players are usually great golfers. They have that feel, dude. They have that feel. A-Chain will never be a 20-carry game workhorse, but I think 15 carries plus 3 and 5 targets in the pass game is in his future another year or two. I think A-Chain will be a 5 to 10 carry guy this year with passes. Throw in another 3, 5, 6 passes. I can see that with A-Chain. But I think he's going to be in the 5 range at least. Right around there. That's what I think. But yeah, you're right. And by the way, there are no more workhorses. That's just not, he's never going to be a part of that because most people, you're not going to be part of workhorses anymore. You're going to be part of a carousel of backs. So the workhorse thing is an easy statement we can make about any running back out there. You're just not going to do it. You see how the Cowboys can't come to an agreement with Tony Pollard? I mean, you know, it's like they just got rid of Zeke and they're not willing to give Tony Pollard a big contract. It's just, it's not worth giving running backs even a second contract anymore. It's ridiculous. Aaron Jones takes a huge pay cut. Josh Jacobs can't sign a long-term deal. Saquon Barkley. And they're both, by the way, check for me the headlines there, Sean, because they have till 4:00 today to sign the long-term deal, Saquon and Josh Jacobs. If they don't sign the long-term deal, they can only sign a one-year deal after that. That's all they get. And that's probably what these teams want, is just to kind of extend it for a year, and then they say, see you. But it's crazy, dude. Joe Mixon had to take a serious pay cut to stay there. That's why I'm convinced Dalvin Cook is playing for the Dolphins. I've been convinced that he's playing with the Dolphins for weeks. I've told you that he's playing for the Dolphins, and he'll take the money because he's not being offered that much more from everybody else, and he's not going back to Minnesota. That would be an embarrassment. Okay? That's like me going back to QAM to be a producer. You know what I mean? Come on, dude. You know? So, what else do we have in the chat board that I haven't seen? MJ's rules changed, helped him. Wilt rules were changed to hinder him when the rules are designed and changed to stop you, and they shouldn't be considered the GOAT. Oh, well, you're talking about the lane used to be like 6 feet, and then they widen it more for Wilt. Yeah, they changed some things with Wilt Chamberlain. You're right. Big O, which I did. I saw Mission Impossible. What's the other movies that were out? But I saw Mission Impossible last week, and it was terrific. Enjoyed the hell out of it. I would suggest and tell you, go watch it. Anybody out there that loves the franchise. Okay. Do you think we really need Cook? Why don't we extend our D tackles? They're going to do that anyways. Cook's a 1-year deal, bro. That ain't no long-term contract. It's a 1-year deal. They have the money. They can sign their guys and sign Cook. They'll get it done. I'm not worried about that. Don't worry about. That's the other thing. Ladies and gentlemen, do not worry about Wilkins and Sealer. That'll all get done. The Connor thing will be figured out. Relax. Okay? Relax. Everything will get done. And if Cook wants to sign here for the money that they have out there, then fine. That's all. They're not overpaying. What they're offering is what they can offer so they can stay fluid in what they're trying to do. They're not going to acquire Cook to hurt them in other areas. They're not doing that. They will not do that. So if Cook wants to sign, he'll sign for as I've told you now for months, he'll sign a team-friendly deal with the Dolphins. Dalvin Cook and his agent mismanaged the entire offseason. They didn't understand where running back stood. They probably should have called me, and I would have saved them a lot of frustrations. So did you see that the writers and the actors are striking? Did you guys see that? Now the actors joined the Writers Guild. So now your favorite TV shows and movies and all that are all going to be on hold now. Okay? Oppenheimer had their screening preview this weekend, and the second the actors announced that they were striking, the actors of Oppenheimer walked out from the preview, which is like, that's some shit right there. Guess what's going to happen, folks? It already happened, but this is kind of like another nail on the coffin, because the coffin's already been nailed shut, but they're like, I've seen them kind of escape from these things, these zombies. Let me put a couple of more nails. And they just did it again. Sports. Sports programming is becoming more and more valuable. The MLS, the NHL, Major League Baseball, NBA, and the NFL, and by the way, UFC should be right now going, this is awesome. In the pandemic, they found out how much they needed us, because everything went down, but sports kept going. And now you've got a Screenwriters Guild and a Actors Guild that is striking. You've got people in the industry saying, we're going to drag this bitch out. Even to the point of saying, yeah, well, when they start losing their houses. So it's going to get ugly. So meanwhile, platforms that went after sports, how smart were you? So all of these platforms are going to go after sports. Now, ESPN, that finds itself on an island cutting all kinds of people because it can't produce the money, and it doesn't have mommy and daddy to ask for money anymore because ABC and Disney are gone. And Iger wants to push him up. Now, he still wants to keep sports, but I think he wants to make sure it's a profitable thing. So they're not going to be, but here's the problem with them now. While they were the sports leader for many years now, well, Apple got into it, Amazon got into it, Netflix going to get into it. All these platforms are going to say, we need sports on our platforms because nothing stops sports. And we've learned, if God forbid we have another pandemic, we need programming. God forbid we have a writers and a Screen Actors Guild, striking, we need sports. Sports has now found itself as the leading dog here with all of that. Okay? That's impressive, I got to tell you. That's very good for them. All right, we are out of here. We thank Ira Winderman. We thank David Furones. We thank Christopher Dillon, director of Goliath, the Wilt Chamberlain story. You can find it on Paramount Sports. You can find it on Showtime. You can find it on YouTube, all over the place. I am telling you, you want to watch this. If you're a sports fan, you want to watch this 3-part series. You're going to learn a ton about one of the greatest players, one of the greatest athletes in any sport possible in Wilt Chamberlain. You're going to learn a lot about the human being. Eddie Cora from the Youth Fair also joining us on Marlins Day, coming to the Youth Fair. We thank, of course, Sean Stanley, the man that drives and masters this program every single day in this entire platform. We thank you all out there. Anthony Pereira says, oh, you crack me up every time I check in. I'm in Pittsburgh now, but lifelong Finns fan. I'm Brazilian, but we have some of the same taste in music, food, and football. Funny. Thank you, sir. Thank you all out there for supporting us. John says, sports are almost back. Writers and actors can protest all they want. Storm says, YouTube paid a lot for the rights to have the NFL package. They need more people to sub, or they will be taking huge losses. Exactly. Thank you out there. As always, we have completed the show. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place, same bat channel.
This is the Big O Show. This is the